just started streaming. Let's see if we are live on YouTube. Let me see if we're live on Facebook. You check YouTube, I'll check Facebook.
As usual.
Not sure what that audio is. There we go.
I'm getting some feedback.
Yeah, we are live on Facebook. If anybody joins us on the live chat, please let us know how the audio is. Oh, I'm seeing some people are joining us on Facebook. Hi everyone. Today we're gonna be covering the news, the latest news on atheism and religion for the past week. I have Jim on the line. Hi Jim.
Hi Armin.
I see on YouTube we have Theo and Magpie and Soraya. Hi guys, the audio is. Oh, Theo is saying the audio is good. That's fantastic. I see. We have Yasin on Facebook. Hi Yasin. If you guys join us on YouTube, your chat is going to show up on the screen. So audio is. Yasin on Facebook is saying audio is good. Thank you, Yasin. Right before we jump into the news, we have a lot of interesting news this week, but I just have to thank some of our patrons. I'll promise I'll do it very fast. Okay, so last week we ended with Siva. This week, Hafi Abdul, Keith Duncan? I don't know. But thank you. And also V. Chaslev, MT Bono, S. Karen, Gavin, Tanya, Lit. Sorry guys, butchering your name. I know. I'm terrible at this. Broadhouse, Michael, or Michelle. Oh, yeah, Michael, Raj, Dave Bender, Sachin. Thank you so much, Sachin is our own web developer, so thank you so much for being a donor. Chris Selby, Karia, Gachingu, Helen Hinan, Nicholas Bianchini, sorry for butchering all your names. David, oh wait, did I mention? Oh, Wanda, I mentioned Wanda. I know Wanda. Thank you so much, Wanda. So, anyways, that was it. Thank you so much for being a patron. We're 81 right now. I think we're getting close to 100 pretty soon, which is what we need to be able to cover all our costs. So thank you so much for being a patron. Anyways, enough with that. I see Old Scratch in the live chat. Jeremy, hi Beach. Beach is here. All right, let's go. Oh, Hassan in the live chat and the Facebook live chat. Lindy, Peter, Dan, Phoenix, Siamand. Hi everybody. Anyways, let's get to the news. What's the first news? Jim?
Okay. The hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi everybody. First news of the day comes from the UK, where Amethyst Realm, a British woman, claims she has slept with at least 20 ghosts. She told British TV show ITV This Morning that she cheated on her fiancé with a ghost and has since gone on to have affairs with them. Now she's engaged to a poltergeist. The ghost proposed to her during a trip to celebrate their 9-month relationship at England's Wookey Hole Caves. She met the ghost while she was in Australia. Meanwhile, her family and friends have completely embraced her engagement. She added that this engagement is much more satisfying than her previous living fiancé.
Wow.
So, Armin, I guess you could say we have a case of Casper, the over-friendly ghost.
Wait, so where does she live?
Okay, so she is a British woman. She's from the UK. She was vacationing in Australia, where she met this ghost.
But this was so. How does this ghost from Australia go to UK? Do they travel on planes and stuff?
Yeah, actually, the ghost rode home with her in an airplane. Whether or not she bought the ghost a seat, I'm unsure of. No. But she reported that her and the ghost joined the Mile High Club.
Okay, wait. So does that mean that she had sex with the ghost on the plane?
Absolutely. She said that she walked back to the lavatory and they did their little boo thing.
So technically, she just admitted that she masturbated on the plane.
Well, some of these people who have sex with ghosts claim that there is zero masturbation involved, that they do not touch themselves,
And so
and they still reach orgasm
she still
somehow.
read. Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. So she so she says that she managed to reach orgasm without touching herself.
That's correct. Now,
Wow.
this affair happened back in December. December is when she took the trip to Australia, and ever since, the ghost has been with her in the UK.
Does this ghost know that she cheated on her fiance? Like, what? How does she know?
She said that she's only heard the ghost voice one time. She described it as being deep and sexy, and but she said that the only thing that it's better relationship, I guess, sexually than with her ex fiance, which kind of leads you to believe, like how bad was this guy in bed?
No, don't make her. Yeah, I
Like, I mean, he
don't.
had to have been just awful.
No, no, no. Let's not blame it on that guy because I don't know. This woman is crazy. So, so,
Either she's crazy or her ex fiance was just poking her in the belly button. I don't know.
um, so is this now? Is there a sexual orientation for this? For like, if you're more into the dead than the living, like,
Um,
is there a sexual orientation that we could classify this as?
pul- Poltersexual,
I don't know.
maybe. Boosexual.
How do we know this woman is not just trolling? Because she's on TV now, right? Like she's going from show to show. So maybe she just likes the
Right.
attention. Or has this been going
Well,
on for a while?
this has been going on for a while. Like I said, she has yet to, as far as I know, she has not cheated on her ghost, her fiance ghost, her boyfriend ghost, fiance clear guy,
Hmm.
whatever you call him. She has not cheated on him, but she has slept with at least 20 ghosts in the past, all together. But apparently, this is the real deal, and she's done hoeing around with them ghosts.
My God. And so if her former living fiance had died, would she have considered him like his ghost? Or is it just it was it specifically him that she didn't like, or is it the fact that he was alive that turned her off?
You have a point there. Maybe she just really does not want a boyfriend. Maybe she's a confused asexual. It's very possible that she is
No,
an
asexuals.
asexual. Yeah.
I didn't.
At,
Th- I thought asexuals don't like sex at all. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody could educate that. Like she's reaching orgasm.
but
Okay, so given that we don't believe in ghosts and stuff, she's saying that there. She's saying that she had on the plane had sex with this ghost, and she doesn't even touch herself, and she managed to reach orgasm. If she's if she actually managed to reach orgasm, that's some very powerful fantasy right there. That would just with
well,
just some
um,
thoughts managed to get you reach like that was some very powerful delusion right there, right? Do you think
right. Well,
delusion can be that powerful?
I mean, it sounds delusional to you and I, but there are Christians who claim that their lives and their moods and their emotions are changed and affected by an invisible, omnipotent God that talks to them and only them. Nobody else around them can hear them, and they during church experience mass hysteria and speak in tongues.
Well, actually, Randy in the Facebook live chat is saying Holy Spirit, which just reminds me of Mother Mary, right? So because Mother Mary also said that the Holy Spirit visited her and she had Jesus, right? So this is maybe a similar. She maybe had a similar experience. Maybe she felt like she had sex with God or whatever, or with the Holy Spirit. Um, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, when they fantasize about something, they have such a great experience that they see it as something spiritual, right, or something holy. Maybe this was the beginning of some, I don't know, religions. I don't know. What do you think? Oh wait, let's see Facebook. Jim, I think I'm losing you. I think I keep losing Jim. Let's see. Oh no, yeah, Jim's connection is always crappy. He needs to get a better connection for this show. But while we wait in Jim, let me read some of your comments. Theomaki in the YouTube live chat is saying, look it up. She's a neo-pagan and wants to have hand fasting ritual with the ghost. You mean hand fisting? I don't know what that means. Theo, hand fasting? I don't know what that means. Soraya is saying, now that's superpower to reach orgasm without touching oneself. Is this necrophilia? No, it's not. Here, we got Jim back. Jim.
Hi, I'm so sorry. My cat closed my laptop.
Okay. Are you sure about that? You're just making excuses for your poor connection.
You know what? Maybe it was my sexy ghost girlfriend just wanting my attention.
Okay. All right. Is this Theomaki is asking if this is necrophilia? Technically not, because she's not attracted to dead bodies. She's attracted to their ghost.
Right.
Here's a question: does she believe she can get pregnant of this ghost? Well, I mean, if you say they don't, I mean, do ghosts come? I don't think they do.
And I mean, can ghosts wear condoms? They'd just like fall right off, wouldn't it?
But I mean, okay, so the whole point of supernatural is that it's beyond nature, right? So it can't. Can nature interact with nature? I mean, it must be able. I mean, if you think you can have sex with them, then yes.
Yeah, I mean, in order for this to happen, it would have to violate several laws of nature that we know to be impossible.
So no, wait. So you're gonna if a ghost comes, right? If a male ghost comes, there will gonna be ghost sperms, right?
Right.
But can a ghost sperm and a living egg, if they meet each other, what happens? Right?
Well, no, it depends. It depends on if that living egg believes in ghost sperm.
Okay. She's new. Okay, let me see. Hand fasting. Oh, okay. So Theomaki is so so apparently she wants to do hand fasting, which I didn't know what it means. Sounds a lot like fisting. So hand fasting is basically a wedding ritual modeled after neo-pagan folk. Okay, so I don't know what that is. Soraya is saying, fine if she's having fun herself, but there will be a twist. If she's pregnant, then she's totally fooling people, or she's drugged and fooled by someone. I mean, here's an interesting thing. A lot of people who would be laughing at this would be like Christians and Muslims or Hindus or Jewish people, right? Like religious Jewish people, okay? And I think they shouldn't be laughing at this, because this is not more ridiculous than what they believe in. Do you agree? Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, any Christian laughing at this should look in the mirror, because basically they believe in whatever Mother Mary, like the stories about Mother Mary or a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. So if you ever see like a Christian laughing at this, point to them that, look in the mirror, right?
Right. There is zero difference in claiming that you have intercourse with a supernatural ghost and claiming that the savior of the earth was born to a virgin who had not yet had sex, so could not possibly conceive naturally, and was inseminated by a sky ghost. Okay, it's the exact same concept: ghost on human, human on ghost. However you want to put it, and whatever names you attribute to the characters is irrelevant. It's ridiculous.
Right. Theomaki is saying maybe 2,000 years from now, this is going to be the new Mother Mary.
Yeah, she's gonna give birth and be like, "What? I've only had sex with ghosts for the past 10 years. How could this happen?"
All right, so the top Facebook comment is saying, "I'm engaged to spirits too. They call me an alcoholic." Okay. Jerry is saying, "Oh, she found her boo." Oh, no, boo. Like I think that's a play of words. Boo, as in Eden is saying, "How did the relationship start? He wooed her." Okay, that's.
Okay. I mean, I'll give him an A for effort.
Yeah, she's lucky. Mary just had sex with one and got pregnant. David is saying, she named her vibrator spirit. Um,
But
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait. Okay, so this is relevant to the last comment. Did did God get her pregnant the first time, or did he have to try a couple times?
Hmm. Come on, it's God.
Yeah,
He only
I
needs
mean,
one try.
well, he screwed up with making humans, didn't he?
Just. Wait, which human did he screw up? Are you talking about Lilith?
Well, I'm talking about, I mean, Adam and Eve, and then and then he went through that fiasco, and then he's like, okay, well, everybody's good now. Oh crap, now everybody sucks except Noah. Noah's good. Oh, everybody's good except Lot. Everybody's good except Job. So on and
Right.
so forth.
Well, the first screw up was Lilith, which was
Right.
which was such a big screw up that they actually removed her from the Bible. Uh,
Completely.
yeah. Anyways, let's see. Should we go to the next news?
Sure. The next news comes from Australia. Euan Fraser, he's a former cage fighter and Scottish tourist. He went for a holiday in Australia last year. In 2017, he was beaten with a crowbar by a taxi driver after talking about religion. Mr. Fraser said that the conversation inside the cab happened right before he was attacked, and it involved him telling the driver that he was an atheist. The driver, who Fraser says is a Muslim, took offense. Mr. Fraser was left with bleeding on the brain, broken ribs, 12 stitches to his face, a dislocated shoulder, and several other injuries. The driver is still on the loose. Mr. Fraser's girlfriend said that he is currently suffering bad post traumatic stress disorder from this attack and has recurring flashbacks and nightmares.
Okay, was that the main point of the conversation? So the taxi driver is Muslim. The
Right.
passenger says that he's an atheist, and
Right.
then
Well,
yeah.
that's not really so cut and dry. That's not really how it happened. Well, according to Fraser, the way that it happened, somehow it had come up. They started talking about religion, and he said that the taxi driver had brought it up and started preaching to him. And as an atheist and as a logical person, he said that religion is the root cause of a lot of harm throughout our history. And of course, that started an argument. And Fraser said something along the lines of science is responsible for evolution, not religion. I guess at some point religion had come up, and the driver who um, told Fraser that he was
Evolution
Muslim.
is in progress, you mean, right?
Right,
Yeah, okay,
right.
okay.
But the taxi driver told, I guess when it had come up, he told Fraser that Allah was responsible
And
for evolution.
where was this?
Okay, so he was in Australia. He was vacationing. He'd been there for a while,
Hmm.
long enough to have his own place. And so when the taxi dropped him off at his place, he'd been out drinking and everything. And so he said that he got out, got his stuff, and he started walking towards the door. And said right before he got to the door, he heard footsteps behind him and a loud noise, and then a bunch of pain. And so the first hit was to the back of the head and knocked him out. And then, according to medical reports and Fraser himself, the driver continued to beat him after he was unconscious and just left him for dead.
With the crowbar.
That's what they're assuming that it was. When medical examiners looked at him and the injuries, they said that it was consistent with a long metal rod, something heavy and metal. So they assume it was with a crowbar.
Did they catch the driver?
No, they have not, and this happened back in June 12th of 2017.
So why is it in
Um,
the news now?
well, it's in the news because now it's just recirculating.
What? Why is it recirculating now? Because
That I don't know. Probably because Pathos and Friendly Atheist,
no, there must be some. Usually, when they resurface, is because there's an
right.
update to the news.
Right. Yes. Usually there is an update. The only update that I can find is Fraser's girlfriend coming out with
But the
an
post
interview
traumatic, yeah, yeah,
or a
oh yeah.
statement, yeah, about him suffering from PTSD
How did
still
they
to this
not
day.
catch him? Like he's a taxi driver. They know the time. They
Exactly.
know the time that. Like, how is this possible that they didn't catch him?
Well, I'm thinking that the police have something to do with it. The police seemed really hesitant from the reports that I
No.
read that from back in June. They said that they didn't believe that it was a taxi driver, but believed that somebody was waiting outside of his house waiting for him. But Fraser himself said that it was after a heated argument. He got out. He heard footsteps behind him, not beside him. So where the attack came from behind, somewhere between the time that the cab dropped him off at the curb and he got to his front door.
Unbelievable.
Right. So if it wasn't the taxi driver, then it's awful coincidental that they cannot find him.
I mean, I hope this is not a case like in the UK where the police are afraid of being accused of racism by going and looking at Muslim taxi drivers. They're going to be afraid.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I believe happened. They're afraid to say, because Fraser came out and said it was because they were arguing about religion and because he was a Muslim and because he was offended, that they were afraid to.
Well, we don't know if that's for sure, but
no, right.
Yeah.
That's speculation on very good circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
And on top of all of this, he was in the hospital for over a week. Check this out. This dude, okay, so Euan Fraser, he's an ex-cage fighter. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. He's only 30 years old, but he's been out of cage fighting for a while. But he used to be a badass. And so he calls an Uber after he walked into the kitchen and just blood pouring out of his face, blood everywhere. They said it looked like a murder scene. He calls an Uber and Ubers to the hospital, where he had to stay for a week. So his injuries were so severe that he had to stay for a week, and he had to pay out of pocket $7,200 Australian.
For what?
For medical treatment.
Oh my god.
Yes, and so after staying in there for a week, he also had to submit himself to a mental health institution for a short time due to suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts. Jesus.
Right. Stemming from his post-traumatic stress disorder and his flashbacks.
This is why I always ask for a receipt when I take a cab, because I want to make sure I want to have evidence of which cab I took and what time, just in case I leave something or something happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or in case you need an alibi.
Jesus Christ. But it's so sad that they didn't catch him. Religion of peace, am I right? That's a top comment on the Facebook. Let me know if you see anything on YouTube live chat that we need to read.
Okay.
You go on.
Theo Mackey says apparently he tried to change the subject, but the taxi driver kept circling back to the topic. Yeah, Theo Mackey, he did. He reported that he started to feel uncomfortable and knew that the cab driver was getting wound up, so he tried to back things down, but the driver kept going back to things like, Islam is peaceful and tolerant, and that's why I'm sitting here yelling at you and about to bash you in the head with a crowbar.
So, this is something I do a lot on Uber and in taxis. Like, I actually in New York, I was just in New York, and I in one Uber drive, I deconverted my Uber driver from Christianity to agnostic atheism. In one
That's
Uber
awesome.
drive.
How long of a trip was it?
It was from JFK to Manhattan, so I think it was 40-minute drive. And I completely changed this guy's worldview.
That's impressive.
In 40 minutes.
That's impressive.
So, and I do this all the time. So maybe I should stop. I don't know. I don't know if that's. But I mean, it's Uber. So Uber, you at least have electronic evidence of who you.
Right. Well, I don't know if it was Uber that he took home from the bar. It keeps saying taxi driver because it refers to the taxi driver and the Uber driver as separate. So, and they never refer to the Uber driver as a taxi driver. So it leads me to believe that it was an actual taxi.
Right.
At Atheist Republic, Theo Mackey says, you were in Manhattan without me.
Just for one day.
Just one day.
Yeah. All right, so there are some comments that are pretty nasty against. I'm not going to read those.
It's not productive.
Yeah, it's not productive. All right, and also in the Facebook live chat, guys, I'm not going to read any comments that is not about the news. And also, please make sure that if you want me to read something, to mention Atheist Republic. Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh, thank you, Brent.
Oh, thank you so much, Brent. $5 super chat for being a non-believer. You sure say Jesus Christ a lot. Thanks for the content.
He
Yeah,
does.
I did. I
And I
did.
say, God damn it.
Yeah, I say, but the thing is that, Brent, thanks again for the super chat. I do think that we should say that as much as we want, because a lot of people tell us, I know you're not saying that, but some people are saying like, oh, why are we using religious terminology? If
Because
we're
it's
atheist.
blasphemy.
No, but and because we want to, like,
Exactly.
the point is that we don't believe, like, if you're an atheist, if you enjoy Christmas, enjoy Christmas. If you want to say God bless you just because it's a thing that people say, just say it. There's no,
Right.
these don't, what I tell people is don't be so religious about your atheism, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
if
I mean,
no,
look
but
at it this way.
yeah,
If you don't practice ancient Norse religions, you shouldn't be using days of the week like
exactly. That
Tuesday,
was exactly what I
Wednesday,
was
and
gonna say.
Thursday.
Yeah. So if Thursday, so if I'm an atheist, should I not use the word Thursday because that's Thor's day, right?
Right.
These are just part of our culture and part of the things that we say, and
Wednesday.
I don't see any reason to not. The main issue is believing in nonsense or not believing in nonsense. These things using the practice, it's kind of like Harry Potter, right? Like, I don't believe in Harry Potter, that doesn't mean that I don't get to enjoy it, right?
Right.
The point that we're against is not cultural stuff. The point that we're against is believing in nonsense or not. But yeah, that's a good point, Brent. Thank you again for the super chat.
Yeah,
So,
I kind of feel bad, Brant. You give us a super chat and we just beat up on you real quick.
no, that's okay. I think he doesn't mind it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ Noah and his ark, Moses and religion is the way. Oh yeah, this is something I say often. Theo is saying that as well. Religion is way more fun when you don't believe. Exactly. Muscal is saying at least non-believers don't have to worry about taking the Lord's name in vain. Exactly.
Right. Unless you're in a cab with a Muslim.
Oh yeah, exactly. Anyways, I hope this guy recovers. If you're in Australia, and maybe send him. I don't know. I feel bad for him. He's suicidal now.
If you see this guy out, man, give him a pat on the back and just reassure him that there are still good people out there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad. Okay, let's go to the next news.
Okay, our next news comes from the Hindu state of Kerala in India, where 2,200 people have protested against the entry of women into a prominent temple. They were arrested by the police, all 2,200 of them. Despite a historic Supreme Court ruling, women were prevented by the protesters from entering the Sabarimala shrine last week.
Wait. I think you should go. You should back. You go do a history
Oh,
lesson on this.
okay.
Yeah.
So this historic ruling on October 17th this month, just less than a week ago. Well, no, I'm sorry, not less than a week ago, less than a month ago. The Indian High Supreme Court lifted a long ban on women of menstrual age from entering into a temple. So ever since the beginning of Hindu, for thousands of years, women have not been allowed in Hindu temples if they are menstruating or if they are of
No.
menstrual age.
This god is not 1,000 years old. I think this is a younger god. Like
Hindu?
No. This specific god for this temple.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This specific god, but
Yeah.
it's a Hindu law for any temple.
No, it's not for any temple. It's for this god, because this
Are
is.
you sure?
Yeah, I think so, because
Okay.
this god apparently there's something about his story.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. Yes, I remember now. I
yeah.
remember now.
Because I don't know what's the story with this god, but I think like he's not supposed to marry, or like he might get
Right.
tempted or something. So women that
Yeah.
in certain ages shouldn't go to the temple. Go on, say.
Right. So this Hindu god, Lord Ayappa,
Right.
he took an oath of celibacy.
Right. So you
And
shouldn't tempt him.
right, exactly. So that's why they ban women of menstruating age, because they tempt the god and it makes the temple unclean.
Right. So if you're young enough or old enough not to tempt him, you can go to the temple.
Right.
But between
Right.
certain ages, you are banned from going to the temple. And then
Right.
and this was challenged, and then the Supreme Court, was it the Supreme Court?
Yes, it
Okay,
was.
the highest court removed this ban and saying, well, this is against India's law. You can't. This is a public place, right? It's a
It,
temple, right? So you
right.
can't
They
ban
basically
women.
said that women should be allowed to worship as well.
So women should be able to worship. But then when women wanted to go there, there was
Right. They
how many people?
2,200, and these women were escorted by police
No, no. Wait,
officers into the temple.
let's clarify. Let's mention this. 2,000 people, like more than 2,000 people, because it says 2,000 were arrested. So I don't know how many people were blocking it. So there were
Well, the,
many thousands of people there trying to block the woman from getting in. But go on.
yeah, that's right. And now there are over 2,000 police officers on the site that are preventing people from going there. So the ban was lifted on the 17th, the women went to the temple on the 17th with a police escort, and that is when the protest started, and it was a very violent protest, and people were hurt. And so from the 18th, the day after the ban, through the 22nd, the whole area, four different temples were shut down for those 4 days, because they didn't have the manpower to suppress the rioters.
They didn't have the police is basically doesn't have the manpower. Wow, Jesus,
Right.
that's how
So
many people
it
that
took
are trying to
them.
protect. This is how many. This is the number of people that are wanting to protect their God from women.
Right.
Jesus
Well,
Christ,
and
this is
and not
crazy.
just protect their God from women, but to suppress their desire to worship, the women's desire to worship.
Beej in the YouTube live chat is saying that this doesn't sound like a temple worth going to if one is a woman. Well, I don't know if any temple is worth going to other than for tourist reasons. But I would actually encourage. I'm actually happy. I think these women, even though I don't believe in their religion, I'm I encourage them to protest this discrimination. Like, I mean, go. No, this is fucking bullshit. Like, I'm
Right.
go. I mean, I don't think they're. I think many of them are going there not because necessarily because they want to worship there, but because they want to be like, you don't get to tell us that we can't go to this temple. Like this, for them, this is also an act of protest, and I think it's a good act of protest from these women that are trying to go to the temple.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the only reason that it got this far, the only reason that it got to the Supreme Court was because there were women who were willing to stand up and say this is unfair. We
Right.
should be able to worship the same as anybody else. And they had to have enough support from the community for the Supreme Court to make a ruling on that. Because historically and just recently in the news, the Indian High Supreme Court has made some very questionable decisions because of the amount of rioting and oppression, and the sheer numbers of these people who are against modernizing these Hindu places in any way.
Right. I mean, how like it's unbelievable. These thousands of people that don't that are so offended and so angered by the fact that women are going to show up in the temple, right? This is for the religion that people say, oh, it's just a way of life, it's just a peaceful religion. Look at what it's doing to how it's affecting people, that thousands of men feel threatened, that need to show up and violently try to stop women from entering their temple. This is Hinduism, right? This is how it's
Right.
affecting thousands of people. It's
Absolutely.
affecting them so much that the police is intimidated by them. They're
Yeah.
too much for the police to be able to handle. And what are they afraid of? Women showing
Right.
up at their this is sexism,
Hmm.
it's violent, it's ridiculous, it's absolutely idiotic. All this stuff that we say about the other religion applies to Hinduism. Let me
Right.
see.
And they are scared. They are scared shitless. The same day that this ban was lifted, they were able to assemble over 2,200 men, not men and women, men, to these sites, to these 4 sites collectively. So they were able to organize within less than 24 hours because they were so afraid
Oh,
of the wrath of this god Ayapa, to rain hell down on them, or whatever the punishment is.
people should start posting memes of having sex with their god or something. I don't know. People should need to like something. You need to do something. These people, when they're sensitive, you need to increase your attacks on them, because to tell them like, no, fuck your feelings. We could do whatever they want, whatever we
Right.
want. Like, I don't
Well,
understand. Like, how are we get? This is the largest secular country in the world, and we have to deal with this.
yeah. Well, I mean, if your God chose to be celibate and it's making him that much of an asshole where he's gonna, kill people over it, maybe he needs to get laid.
Maybe. And this is another indication of the mentality of people. Like, if you the people have about worldly issues as well, not just like God, what the gods want. Because if you want to, this is what Muslims think, as a lot of Muslims think as well. If you want to avoid women, or if you want to be celibate, just control yourself. You can't demand the woman to behave in a certain way just because you want to live in a certain way, right? This is your
Exactly.
problem, right? So this is exactly when Muslims want to demand a woman to wear hijab, is like, no, you control yourself. So the same thing needs to be said to their God. Like, okay, if you want to be
Right.
celibate, just be celibate. Don't demand other people to behave in a certain way. It's the same mentality people have about women.
Yeah,
But
but you're looking at years and years of these people allowing these fundamentalists to use their doctrine in order to change laws or to keep laws the same, even though the rest of the world is modernizing without them. People need to they need to be criticized. We can't just let these people get away with one thing. They get away with one thing and it empowers them, and they continue to do so.
Theo Mackey is saying
Um,
2,000 radical Hindus trying to keep women from making their god horny. Suraya is from India, so let's read what he has. Oh, I think he removed his comment.
Yasin is from Kerala, and they said that the ban was implemented in 1991, and the protest was organized by the supporters of RSS, the ruling party at the center, against left government of the state.
Suraya is saying an activist called Rihanna Fatima faced special opposition, so that also became an additional reason for not to let women enter.
Interesting.
Bobby B is saying, every time I post pictures of me power tapping a god, I get stuck by lightning. I don't know. Okay. Yasin is saying, you read that Yasin comment? Soraya is saying, these idiots also include PhD scholars and educated people, highest literacy state Kerala. Yeah.
Education does not equal knowledge.
Yeah. Good point. Okay. Should we go to? Let me see if Facebook. Nope. Okay. Let's go to the next news. Oh no.
Okay, the next one comes from Uganda, where Kampala Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Luwanga, a Catholic archbishop, proposed a government-enforced tithing program that automatically takes 10% from people's paychecks for the church. He said that failure by some members to tithe had impacted the church and its ongoing projects, and he added that the Bible says a tenth of whatever you own belongs to the church.
Does it
How do
say
you like
that?
those
Does it
apples?
say? Does it actually say that? Because there's no mention of church in the Bible, is there?
It says that 10% of what you belong should be tithed,
Right.
meaning given back to God, given back to the Lord. So, the modern belief in tithing is supporting the church that it may continue to do God's work.
Right. So how are people responding to that in Uganda? Do you know?
There are really mixed results. Uganda is a very much a Christian country, and they are very fundamental in their Christian beliefs. They have a very literal interpretation of the Bible, and the Catholics even more so.
I
It's
mean, if you want to go by the Bible, there is no mention of church in the Bible, right? There's no mention of a pope in the Bible. There's no mention of half of Catholic doctrines in the Bible, right? Like Mother Mary
There's a
being.
mention of the church in the Judaic sense, like the rabbinic temples. So there are temples in the Bible. It mentions the old way of worship, and then it mentions the new way of worship, and it says where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am also. So, and that's interpreted modernly as where two or three more people who believe the same God belief gather. That is a church. That's a temple.
So, but there's some good news to this, because this guy is acknowledging that they're like, is he saying that they're running out of money because people are not paying their 10%?
That is what he said in the end. That was not his original argument. He was saying that that he feels like the church is spending too much. Not that they're running out of it, but that the church shouldn't have to take it directly from the church's accounts.
We got a super chat.
Oh yeah, awesome.
We got it from Celestial Nightshade. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. The message is keep up the good work, Armin, and a flower.
That's awesome. Can I get 15 too? I promise I'll get better.
No, Jim is also doing a great job. But thank you so much for the super. Thank you. Actually, Jim is doing most of the work, but thank you.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I'm just the mouth.
No, you're doing the research before the show as well.
Well, but so this archbishop said that he wanted Uganda to go the German route. In Germany, Germans who are registered as Jewish or Catholics or I forget which other ones, but they have a church tax. So it's actually a tax taken out, and it's not 10%, but it's like it's 8 to 9% that's taken from their annual income.
Well, you have to be careful what you wish for, because that 10% that they take is responsible for a lot of people leaving the religion. Because if you declare that you're not a Catholic anymore, then you don't have to pay that, right? So actually, maybe I am. Maybe now I'm in favor of this forced 10%, but not on citizens, only on Catholics, right? So that would make a lot of people be like, okay, I'm not Catholic anymore.
Reevaluate
the religion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there are a lot of Christians who argue against the tithe, that say that it's not 10% of your monetary assets, but it's 10% of your assets, period. And they also include their spiritual self, so their preaching or their proselytizing as part of that 10%. Like, well, I do give 10% of me to God, and that's enough.
Wow. Okay, wait, so actually this guy, the title says government, the guy is saying that government should give 10% of citizens' salaries to the church.
Yes.
Citizens?
Yes.
Wait, so does that mean non-Catholic?
All citizens. His initial
non-Christians as well?
Yes, because in Germany, when they collect this church tax, it is gathered all as one lump sum, and then it's dispersed evenly to religious institutions. So that's what he was wanting to do.
Wait, in Germany, they also take 10% from non-Catholics?
No. They only take from Catholics, Jews, and Protestants, I believe, and so it's only the people who sign up for it. So in Germany, you have to. It's a voluntary thing. Right. But this archbishop, he proposed it as a voluntary thing. He proposed it like something along the lines of, "Aren't you, tired of putting money into the basket every week? Like, aren't you tired of, remembering?" It's kind of like the, essential. Get a free trial, or you can buy a month now, or you can buy 12 months in advance. He's trying to make it easy on them, you don't have to open your wallet once a week. I'll just give you direct access to your bank account, and I'll do it.
So he's proposing a voluntarily thing as well, right? But you have to opt in. No,
that's what he was. That's how he proposed it. But what he is proposing is that everyone gives 10% of their belongings as this or as their monetary their money to
by force,
as a church tax. No, just money.
Yeah, no, but mandatory for everybody?
Yes, that is what he wants.
Okay, well, good luck with that. Yeah, no.
Right.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's not like Germany at all then.
right. I mean, yeah, there are some countries governments that do disperse tax money to different churches or religious institutions, but I mean these are in other countries where these people are doing it voluntarily. Like they are claiming this belief. They're agreeing, yes, 10% of what I own goes to God. But see, I'm against you in this, Armin, because yes, while you have to be a Catholic or whatever to do it, and yes, it does make people question their beliefs, and really uh, sit there and think about how much that 10% means to them, to get rid of, and if they really think that it's beneficial to let it go. Yeah, that's great and all, but you still have those people who will do this willingly, and that haven't maybe done it regularly, and they felt bad about it. So now what you're going to start seeing is a larger influx of money into these churches.
Right. Yeah, no. That's not a good thing. I don't know, but if you look in Europe, the belief in religion is dying, right? So the effect
Right.
might have not been that bad. I don't know. Reggie is in the top comments is saying the all powerful God can create anything except money. Um, here Frank agrees with me. Frank is saying that will create a lot of atheists. Go- David is saying government should take 10% of all church donations as taxes. There are some Facebook comments. Tia Mikey is saying, so if we're taking, some YouTube live comments. So if we're taking the Bible literally, does this mean this bishop can be stoned if those robes are mixed fabrics? Muska saying that's a scam. Why do people have to give money to Catholic Church in set amount? What if people cannot afford the 10%? Nobel, no, I don't know, Noblest something, is saying 1/10 Thai was still implemented in Catholic Europe at the beginning of 20th century. Is that how you pronounce it? Many people switched to communism because of it. Yeah. How do you pronounce that, by the way?
Noblest oblige.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, tithe.
Tithe.
Tithe. Yeah.
Tithe. 10%. How can anyone not see how much of a con job religion is? Well, I've been asking that myself for 13 years. Let's see what else we have
Uh,
here. Oh, anybody in the
Bobby
face?
B.
Oh, Bobby.
Bobby B says, "Why would theists give money to a church when they would obviously laugh at someone on the street saying, 'The creator of all existence has a message for you, and all I need is 10%.'"
Right. I mean, who was that? Who was that made that joke? The first, the comedian, the guy.
Probably George Carlin.
George Carlin. Yes, that was a very good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
All right, anyways, let's go to the next one.
The next one, sorry, lost my place. The next one comes from Greece, where Alexis Tsipras, the Greek prime minister, and is also an atheist, thinks the Orthodox Church will support his proposal to introduce religious neutrality to the country. He believes that the church will give up its power. He said, "Church and state have the maturity, the wisdom, and the sensitivity to put their relations on a rational basis." He said that at a meeting of Syriza's parliamentary group, adding that it is time to enshrine the religious neutrality of the Greek state in the country's constitution.
Wait, so
So he wants to officially separate church and state.
Okay.
He is doing what our founding fathers originally wanted for this country.
Is he kind of being like tricky with saying like I think the church will support me on this just so that make them feel good about this? Like is he like or does he actually have evidence that they're going to support this? Like has he talked to them?
Yeah, well, the only problem is there's not any real evidence that the church would do this, because currently the church, the church as a whole, as an institution in Greece, has a lot of power right now, and for them to give that up, I mean, he would really have to, I mean, willingly, like they would willingly give up all of these privileges and things that it's had for so long, and they're not really going to be getting anything out of it.
Right. So do you think he's saying like, I think the church will support this as a way to kind of, you know what I mean, kind of like encourage them to support this without actually believing that they want to support this? Do you know what I
You
mean?
know, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that that's some small part of it, but it seems like he really thinks that the church will realize that it's up to the individual to determine, you know, what they believe and what they practice, and that the the religion should not dictate the legislature.
I don't. Has there ever been an example of a religious organization willingly giving up power? Like, I don't
Yeah,
buy this.
yeah, there. Oh wait, no, no, there's not.
Like, yeah, we have all this power. We're just tired of
Nope.
having it. Let's.
As far as I know, every religion that has had their power removed was done so by a sword.
Yeah, or yeah, by force, by government or something. No, it was. I mean, I don't know if any institution had a lot of power, and they. I mean, they either became so irrelevant that giving up power was didn't mean anything. It's just they already had lost power. They were just acknowledging it, or their power was removed by force. It was. I don't know if there's an example of any religious organization willingly giving up power because they think this is in the best interest of people.
Exactly.
So I don't know where is he basing this on. I mean, I'm happy that he's pushing for it. Is he trying to push for it like from from a putting some force behind it by suggesting some government involvement to push for this, or is he just inviting them to do this? Like, is this just talk, or is there going to be some actions taken?
No, no, he wants to officially separate it. I believe that he's testing the water,
Yeah.
but he is, we have to remember he is an atheist. You know, this isn't some, religious guy who's trying to appeal to the atheist or to the non-believers, but this is an atheist who is trying to appeal to the believers. So this is something that really we haven't seen a whole lot of before.
Nice.
So it's really interesting, what his motives in this are, because it's looking at it, it seems like he is just exercising what his motives are. But at the same time, we have to realize that that the likelihood of the church giving up their power willingly without some sort of incentive is highly unlikely. So one thing we're going to have to ask ourselves is, what is the church going to get out of this if they're going to do it?
Right. So maybe he's testing the waters, and if that is so, I'm hoping people in Greece are welcoming this, right?
Sure.
So maybe a lot of people will have a positive reaction to this, so that maybe signals to other politicians that this is going to be welcomed if they push for it, because that's what politicians respond to, right? If people see that, hey, let me put this out there, see how people react, and if the reaction is positive, then people are like, yeah, this could get me votes, right? So I'm hoping that people are really loud about their support for this, so that not just this guy, but every other politician there says like, wow, this is something that people really do like, and it actually makes a lot of noise when I suggest it, right? But I
Right.
don't know. I mean, is it how religious are people in Greece?
The people who are religious are very religious. That they have a large Catholic population. They have a large Christian population. So they'll be getting, support from both the Christian and the Catholic communities for sure.
Right.
And I mean, the more fundamentalists. I mean, it's just like any other country. You have your moderate believers and you have your fundamentalists. Yeah, I don't like using the word extremist, because all an extremist is a fundamentalist. Um, but so
I mean, I don't know how religious Greece is. Daniel in the live chat is saying it's 99% Orthodox Christian, but that I don't know
Yes.
how many of it is nominal Christians and how many of them are religious Christians, right? That's
Exactly. But then again, think about it. Even if you just identify as a Christian, you're pretty unlikely to be in support of the church losing power.
I don't know, because a lot of Christians think like, oh, Christianity is perfect. It's just the church that is corrupted, or is the people in power that are corrupted. So there are sometimes religious people that support getting these churches out of reducing their powers. You do get that a lot. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, these people, these old men in robes, they're just corrupted. That's not Christianity. You hear that a lot, right?
Right.
So you don't know. Maybe they'll support it.
Maybe.
Somebody, if you're from there, please let us know what you think about this
Uh,
guy. Yeah, go on.
Theo Mackie said that he had a gay friend who lived in Greece who said that he and his friends dressed as gods, and a Greek told him, "Our gods aren't gay." So apparently he has not read his Greek mythology.
Anything else in the YouTube live chat you want to read?
In the YouTube live chat, Muscal says, "I'm all for separation from church versus state, but the religious will go kicking and screaming."
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Shane in the Facebook comment section is saying that's pretty cool that a country without separation of church and state elected an atheist prime minister. Oh, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, actually, how is it that they got an atheist prime minister if they're 99% Christian?
That's true too. But then again, he was not pushy during his campaign. He was not a pushy atheist. He didn't flaunt his atheism. He didn't speak out against religion.
Um, but that that tells you a lot. Like that I mean, they knew he was an atheist, right?
Right, right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, you have to give that some credit.
Yeah. So maybe a lot of them are just nominal Christians.
I guess we will see shortly.
I mean,
I'm sure
if they're
we'll be
mature,
updating.
if they're mature enough to vote for an atheist, they might be mature enough to support separation of church and state.
Right, absolutely.
All right. Support him and best of luck. Okay, so let me see if there's anything here. Okay, let's go to the next news.
Okay, the next news comes okay, so Sinead O'Connor, she's a famous Irish singer. She is also famous for protesting the Catholic Church child sexual abuse scandal. Now says she has converted to Islam. She made the announcement on Twitter and will go now by the Islamic name Shuhada David. She said she was proud to become a Muslim and that any intelligent theologian would end up there too. So now I guess she also claims to be a theologian.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of Muslims are celebrating this all over social media.
Well, sure, she's famous.
Yeah, they love it when somebody so high profile converts to Islam. Did she say her reasons for why she converted?
She said that her theological beliefs were there. She claimed that she scrutinized it, the same that she did everything else. But she said that the Catholicism sex scandal, and it wasn't the one recently that she protested. She protested one that was back in the 90s. In fact, she did a whole she appeared on Saturday Night Live and did a whole skit on it.
So, is she Sunni or Shia, or does she see right now? You know.
To be honest with you, I don't think that she knows the difference.
Well, she might no. She might think okay. So here's the thing. So she was she before this was protesting against the Catholic abuse, right? So does she not? What does she think about Muhammad having sex with a 9-year-old?
Exactly. She, Islam is not immune to child abuse or to sex scandals or to anything. I mean, a church isn't a safe place. We see that all the time. There's been shootings in churches. There's been children raped in churches. There's been lies told in churches, obviously. So yeah, a church is not a safe space, and any intelligent person Christian, Muslim, atheist, whatever, any intelligent person that is not willfully dishonest will admit that a church is not safe.
No, but at least the Christians could claim that these Catholic child abuses, they're not in our scripture, right? There's nothing in our holy text that tells you to go ahead and have sex with children, right? But
well, in the Old Testament, it speaks of two different wars in Exodus, in which Noah counted the troops. I believe I forget the chapter and everything. I can post it in the comments after. But one of the commandments was to take no men prisoners. That all of the men were to be killed. The women could be taken as their own. They could be sold. And the children, even the young girls, could be kept as sex slaves.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind then.
But
that's the Old
I don't
Testament,
know
right?
how many Christians even know that, because they're just used to listening to the top 40 hits.
I just wonder if she says that she studied Islam before converting to being a Muslim, if she covered that part where Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old, because that's an undeniable part of Islam. Like anybody that studies the Hadith knows that this is an undeniable, authentic part of the Islamic canon.
Sure, absolutely.
And given her stance against the Catholic Church abuse scandal, I wonder, and nobody that understands Islam can deny that that Islam is about following Muhammad as the perfect role model, right? And for you to understand what you're supposed to do is to study his way of life, what he said and what he did. It's called the Sunnah, right? So you have two sources.
Yes.
One is the Quran and the other one is Sunnah, which is that, and she understands that. So given that we have to live the way Muhammad lived, and given that Muhammad has sex with a 9-year-old girl, what are her stances on it? I don't understand. Like, the reason why I want to know if she studied Islam in full, because every time somebody leaves Islam, they tell us that you don't understand Islam, or you should have talked to a scholar, or you're not educated enough. But whenever somebody joins Islam, they never ask her those questions, right? They never say like, whoa, no, you can't join Islam. Have you talked to a scholar first? Did you fully understand Islam? The standard seems to be a lot lower, right?
And that's because as soon as you accept Islam, and as soon as the imam or the teacher, whoever you're speaking to, knows that, they immediately realize that they have intellectual authority over you, that whatever they say is in the name of Islam and therefore must be true.
You're right. And it's interesting that on Atheist Republic we're covering somebody that converted to Islam, right? But the thing is that if you look at most Islamic sources of news or commentary, they don't talk about the high number of people that are leaving Islam, right?
Yes.
That even though they know that's a huge problem right now within the Islamic community, but whenever somebody converts to Islam, they just highlight it and talk about
celebrated.
it. Celebrated so much, especially when it's somebody white, especially white women.
Sure, especially rich white women.
Right. No, but I don't know what it is about white women that Muslims really love when they convert to Islam, because that's the number one thing they focus on.
Oh, well, it's easy because it makes converting future generations easier, because you're going to have a son or a daughter that is half white and half Arabic or whatever their nationality is, and make it easier to indoctrinate other people, because you're really immersing yourself into another culture.
No, I mean, if this was like an Indian woman converting to Islam, even if she was famous, it wouldn't get as much coverage. I could bet you that. But let me see. Scott is saying, I hope she finds happiness with her new religion. And I also hope she finds a very religious husband who beats her daily. Holy fuck, Scott. What the fuck?
Wow. Seriously?
Scott. God damn it, Scott.
Man, yeah, I was right
that
there
just
with you up until you had to make that dumbass comment.
no. I was gonna say I mean I don't even I didn't agree with the first part. I thought he was being serious because I wouldn't say like I hope you find happiness in heroin, right? No, you couldn't you
No,
just yeah yeah
all I heard was I hope you find happiness, and I was like, okay, cool, like
sure
somebody's being
whatever.
nice, and then he finished.
Yeah, no, but yes, fucking hell, Scott. No, I don't. I hope nobody ever beats her ever, um, um, or anybody else. Molly is saying, I have been told that next week she's converting to Judaism because apparently nothing compares to Jew. I don't understand what she's saying. Khadar is saying, at long last she found the true religion. I think this is the actual Muslim commenting. By the way, we do get a lot of Muslims and other religious people, Christians, on our Atheist Republic page, which is great because now we can have discussions. Like a lot, you can see that, and I really like the fact that Facebook lets you laugh or get angry, instead of just liking a comment, because that way a lot of these comments now shows up at the top, because usually they wouldn't. Gary is saying, your prophet married a 9-year-old, just saying. That's well, no, he
Hmm.
didn't marry a 9-year-old. He
No,
married
no, he didn't even marry her.
no. He married a 6-year-old.
Yeah,
He married her when she was 6.
and he had
I,
sex with her when she was 9.
well, she was molesting her between 6 and 9. She was, doing other stuff. But then he consummated the marriage when she was 9 years old. And
Right.
this is authentic hadith. Anybody that tells you that this is not true is
Yeah.
they don't it's absolute bullshit. Okay,
Right.
this is based on what Muslims considered authentic hadith, is mentioned many times
Mhm.
across different sources of hadith. This is as canonized in Islam as the Quran. Okay, don't let anybody tell you that this is
Yes.
not true. Don't let anybody tell you there's other things that telling you that she was 18. That's fucking
Right.
bullshit. If you remove the part of the hadith that this age 9 comes from, most of Islam goes out with it. Okay, that's how big.
Right.
That's how important the source is. If you remove
Yep.
hadith, Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim from Islam and other authentic source of hadith, 4 out of 5 pillars of Islam is gone. Right. So don't let anybody tell you. With regards to what really happened with Muhammad, we have no idea. Okay, we don't even know what Muhammad did or what kind of life he lived. What we know
Right.
is what is canonized in Islam, what is considered authentic according to Islamic teaching, all schools of thoughts of Islamic teaching based on Islam itself. Muhammad did this. Okay.
Yep, and anybody who claims that it is metaphorical or not literal or allegory is full of shit because Islam teaches that this is literal, that this really happened as it's written, no bullshit.
Right.
Word for word, exactly happened. Yes, he split the moon in half. He ascended to heaven on a winged horse. It's all literal.
Right. I mean, the splitting the moon part is actually in the Quran as well. But anyways,
Yeah.
do you wanna see what the YouTube live chat is saying?
Yeah, see the YouTube live chat. Beach says after they fawn over her for a while, they will probably enforce the rules even more strictly on her. She has to be the perfect example of a convert. Yeah, I'll have to agree with you there. But they wouldn't do it publicly because that would show. Right now she's a poster woman for them. She's marketing and promotional material. They're not going to come out and say, "Oh, she's not a good Muslim."
Jeff in the Facebook live chat is saying she can't turn away now. Actually, that's true because she could have a lot of people are saying that she's going to change her religion next week, but she can't anymore because not in a safe way at least, because now she's going to be an ex-Muslim if she leaves Islam and she is punishable by death. I mean, she can, but
Right.
not according to Islam.
Right. Well,
Right.
isn't apostasy? It's not for leaving Islam, but it's for trying to return to Islam after leaving.
No.
After you leave Islam, don't they just ban you? But if you try to return, that's when they're supposed to kill you.
No. If you leave
Okay,
it, no. If you become a Muslim or if you're born a Muslim, you can't leave. It's a one-way contract.
I see.
If you leave, it's punishable by death. And
See.
that's also authentic hadith. Don't let anybody tell you. So if she leaves Islam, if she changes her mind next week, it's punishable by death. She can join. Wait, where is she from?
She's Irish, but
Hmm. I was gonna
I believe
suggest
that
that
I
she
read
could.
that she's living in the U.S.
Oh, okay, so she could join ex-Muslims of North America if she leaves Islam.
Um,
She's an ex-Muslim. By the way, if anybody wants to join ex-Muslim groups, just become a Muslim for like half an hour and then just leave. Then you're an ex-Muslim, so you could join ex-Muslim, come to our parties and stuff.
yeah,
Let me see. All
there are
right,
pictures of Allah everywhere.
pictures of Allah everywhere.
Yeah, at the parties are just everywhere. It's pin the tail on Allah. We have an Allah pinata.
You do?
No,
Okay.
not
You
yet, but
should.
thanks for the idea.
Okay, maybe I'll actually. Okay, all right, I'll bring that up. Okay, should we go to is anything in the YouTube live chat that we need to read?
I think that was the last one. Let me scroll through one more time. Daniel Yerke said, "It's okay. I call her Shanae O'Shoehead." Oh, all right.
Okay.
Well, okay.
All right.
Theo Mackey said, "Just said Shahada and then then said screw it. Does that make me an ex-Muslim now?"
Yeah. Well, no, actually, you have to mean it, so that's gonna make it very
Yeah,
hard. Yeah.
yeah. You have to mean it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next news.
Okay, the next news involves Celebrate Mercy and Empower Change, which are two Muslim American groups. They raised more than $150,000 from over 300 or 3,600 donors in just over 2 days. This money was enough to pay for the funeral expenses of some of the victims of the Tree of Life congregation synagogue shooting, where an anti-Semitic Christian killed 11 people after shouting, "All Jews must die." This money is being raised and will be sent to the victims' families.
Now that's good. So
Yes, yes,
just so
it's very good.
so let's read the title first before we summarize it. So Muslims cover all funeral expenses for Jewish victims of anti-Semitic Christian. So yeah, this is very nice. I mean, it's
Yeah,
good that we also cover these things. We don't just talk about the negative things that happens in the name of when religious people do negative things. We also cover the positive things. I mean, there's
right.
nothing you could say against
Well,
this, right? Go on.
yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, the whole reason that this started was because somebody was anti-Semitic,
Yeah, yeah, but this is
somebody who believed that their religion was superior to another.
was it because of religion that they were anti-Semitic, or was it just because they were alt-rightish or something like that? I think it was
Well,
I think it
well,
was mostly
when you're
racism then. Yeah.
I mean, it very well may have been mostly racism. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's religiously motivated. In my opinion, in my opinion, it is. I don't tell a lot of people this, but I grew up in a white nationalist family with KKK lineage, with Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Circle, people in my family, in my immediate family, and not one that I met at any meeting, at any gathering or what have you was not a Christian.
Right. Um, yeah, but we do have a lot of examples of anti-Semitic views that is not from religion as well.
You're right, but most
Yeah.
of those are against cultural differences, though, aren't they?
Most of them are based on race, hate of like racism.
I see. I
Yeah,
see. So
yeah,
just as a people, as a whole,
yeah.
right?
But this thing is a so I mean I just want to add just some nuance to this, and this is not, just to be clear, this is not to take away from this at all. This is completely positive. There's nothing you could say about this that is negative, okay? These are good people doing good things. I just want to tell people to be careful to give credit to the Muslims who did this, but not to Islam, okay? What this shows is that people are better than their religion, okay?
Right.
Because Muslims are capable of humanitarian and lovely things and being kind to their fellow human beings. The reason why Muslims are capable of doing that, because Muslims are capable of being better than their own religion, because Islam by itself is anti-Jew, is anti-Jewish. Islam as a religion hates Jewish people. It's against Jewish people. It's a racist bigoted ideology, well, mostly bigoted, not racist, because it hates them because of their religion mostly rather than their race. But and but this is when I say that, it's not to say that these to take away from anything that these people have done. Okay, these people are lovely people, and these people should be celebrated, because in fact we should celebrate them even more than most people that are this good, because they survived some brainwashing from the religion as well. Like, might have been harder. Like, they come from a religion that historically was very anti-Jewish, right? And based on its own scripture, based on its own hadith, is very anti-Jewish, right? So to come out of that and be able to not only be kind to Jewish people, but also raise so much money for them and commit such an act of love like this, that needs to be celebrated, right? But what people try to do is take advantage of this and say, like, look, Islam is not anti-Jewish. And I say, no, that's not the way to say it. Muslims are not all anti-Jewish. Most Muslims are not anti-Jewish. Islam is anti-Jewish. Go on, sorry.
But the problem is that the co-founder of Empower Change, the Linda Sarsour, she is a Muslim. She is that person who is saying that it is because of Islam that they are doing this, because she's claiming that Islam says that they should do something to strengthen the relationship with Allah, and you're not supposed to flaunt your money, and that you're supposed to help others, help victims, and so on and so forth.
No, okay. So the messages in the Quran or a Hadith where it says you have to take care of, victims and stuff, is talking about Muslims when it says that.
Muslims, okay. Exactly. Yeah. But so this is just another example of a person who was likely converted with misinformation.
Oh no, Linda Sarsour, she's don't listen to her.
She was born Muslim.
Yeah, she's born Muslim,
okay.
And she's also been very friendly to some very anti-Semitic people. But anyways, the thing is that let's focus on this one, because she's taking advantage. So she's taking people's kindness and spinning it. This is a problem when we don't separate people from ideology, because then instead of giving credit to the people that do something good, we're spinning it and we're giving it credit to a religion that has always been anti-Jewish. You know what I mean? Always been against the very thing these people are doing. Just to let you know, like, this is also hadith, okay? This is also hadith, so you could look it up in hadith and hadith books. Islamic hadith specifically tells you that there will be a time where Muslims will kill all the Jews, okay? And their Jews will be hiding in the, and the trees and behind trees and behind rocks. And the trees and the rocks are going to speak out and tell the Muslims, like, Muslims, come,
here they are.
A Jew is hiding behind me. Come and kill him. Okay?
Yep.
This is authentic hadith in Islam. Okay? The Islam compares Christians and Jews to dogs and apes. Right? And I don't...
So according to the Quran and according to the Hadith, who's supposed to carry out these killings? Who's supposed to be the executioner?
Muslims.
Okay, so Linda Sarsour, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean.
Okay. So if she, I'm not saying that what she's doing is wrong, but I just want to point out that if she fundamentally believes her doctrine and the commands given by her God, then when the time comes, all of those families that she has just saved money for and she felt sorry for and she is grieving for and that she feels legitimately sorry for, she will be commanded by the very God that she loves and worships to kill those people.
Yeah, but I can tell you, most Muslims would never even dream about doing something like that. Okay, again, most people are better than their religions.
Exactly, and that just goes to show the delusion of the religion and of 2,000-year-old doctrine, 2,000-year-old philosophy, so to speak, if you even want to call it that.
Right. The good thing about this thing that these Muslims did is, for so it is for people that are, because a lot of people take their hatred against Islam a bit too far, and it translates to hatred towards people, right? And I think acts like this help people see Muslims differently, right? Because again, no matter how much I hate Islam, no matter how much we hate Islam, no matter how much we are against Islam, that doesn't translate to Muslims being bad people. Most of the time, it doesn't translate to that, right? Too often it does, but most of the time it doesn't. Even when it does a little bit, it's too often, right? But most of the time it doesn't, because most people are better than their scripture. And acts like this helps us see that, because Muslims, just like most people, are not just influenced by Islam. Muslims, just like other people, are influenced by so many different things around them, by different competing ideologies, by different books, by what they watch, by who they are, by their own sense of sympathy, natural sense of sympathy. It's more, somebody saying not all. It's not just not all. It's not most. Okay, it's beyond not all. Right. So you have to really be able to separate people from an evil, barbaric ideology that is Islam. We have to, when it comes to people, we have to be very charitable and very kind and very understanding. Okay, even the deluded ones, right? We have to see them, look at them with sympathy rather than hate. When it comes to the ideology, an ideology as hateful and barbaric as Islam, there is no room for not hating it. If you have any love for humanity, you would hate Islam. Okay, so go all out against Islam. Go, but separate that from the way you think about or treat Muslims as people. And as you can see, just because somebody labels themselves as a Muslim, it doesn't mean that they are as hateful or as barbaric or as violent as Islam is. And some people might say, well, if you're not following Islam, how are you a Muslim? And I always say, like, the definition of a Muslim is not somebody that follows every single rule of Islam. The definition of a Muslim is whoever believes in Allah and the Quran as the direct word of God and Muhammad as his last prophet. But just because but most Muslims have never read the Quran. Most Muslims have never read the Hadith. And even if they read the Quran, most of them either try to come up with excuses for why these barbaric verses are there, or they leave Islam, or they try to ignore it. They just put it in a different part of their mind, not think about it, right? And I mean, if the definition of a Muslim is somebody that follows every single rule of Islam, then you're not gonna have, you're probably gonna have less than 1,000 Muslims around the entire planet. That's a very strict definition. And just like the definition of Christianity is not somebody that follows all the rules of of the Bible. The definition of a Christian the definition of a Christian is somebody that believes in Jesus as a Lord and Savior. You might say, well, but if you really think that this is the word of God, then why wouldn't you follow it? That's illogical. Well, yeah, I agree, that's illogical, but guess what? Most people are not that logical. I mean, when I was a Muslim, I couldn't understand why most people are not reading the Quran. But I guess that's because I'm more logical. And that's why I left it eventually. Do you have any comments on this, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people's beliefs, doesn't necessarily stem from their doctrine, but it stems from the teachings of the doctrine. I mean, there was a lot that I didn't know about my own Bible when I was a believer, and there's a lot of Christians who currently don't know a lot about the Bible, and they're still currently believers. They've been believers their whole life because they depend on somebody else to read, interpret, and to deliver these messages in a way that it is easy to comprehend in the 21st century. But the problem with that is that, as I mentioned earlier, it gives a tendency for these priests and preachers and pastors and imams and any other religious figure to that they all they deliver is what I call the top 40 hits, the good stuff, like from the Bible. You got Adam and Eve, you've got Noah's Ark, you have Noah's Exodus with the slaves, you have Jesus, you have his miracles, feeding the 5,000, dying and resurrecting, and all you have are the feel good stories about the Bible. You hear about Jesus healing the blind, but you don't hear about Jesus calling a woman a dog because of her nationality. So all you get are the good parts of the Bible. So and like people like Linda, the co-founder of Empower, she is one of those people, I can almost guarantee you, that does not understand their own doctrine and relies on somebody else to interpret it for her. And therefore, as a consequence, you don't learn about the rest of the doctrine, arguably the most important parts of it.
Tim in the Facebook live chat is saying Muslims with their Quran and Christians with their Bible have to believe every word because they believe it to be the word of God. Yeah, but that's the only part that they believe in it. But the thing is, they believe it's the word of God, but most of them don't know what the word of God says. I mean, I lived in Iran most of my life, and I could tell you that we had the Quran. Nobody read the Quran. Most people didn't read the Quran. Everybody had a Quran in their home. We kissed it. We waved it around our head for good luck. We put it we brought it out every New Year as a decoration. But we didn't read it. Even in school, when we had Islamic teaching, we had different parts of the Quran highlighted to study. Like we had basically our textbook for Islamic studies just had verses in it. We didn't just read the Quran cover to cover. And even when you do Quranic recitations, you recite it in Arabic. You have no fucking idea whether you're reading. And even when you're reading it to pass an exam, you're just reading it to be able to pass an exam. There's nothing that nobody really thinks about these things. Most people don't. Yeah. Most people don't. If I make up a verse and tell them it's in the Quran, they believe me, because they don't take it seriously enough to read it. Most people don't even read the entire Quran cover to cover. And in fact, Beach in the live chat is saying, is it possible these Muslims that raised the money are not aware they curse Jews in their prayers because they're speaking in Arabic? I mean, even the Arab-speaking ones don't think that. Most of them don't think that they're cursing the Jews, right? Because it's just they just recite it. They don't think about it. Most Muslims don't think about these things that much. I mean, it's just like most Christians don't know their Bible. It's the same thing.
Right. Beach in the comment section says, so would the question to Muslims be, would you do anything the Quran commands?
Well, I mean, they say yes, but then when you show them a verse that tells them to stone somebody, they say, "Oh, they come up with a gymnastic dumb argument because they don't, because they're better than it." Nathan is saying, "I'm saying this guy is trying to validate religion by repeating the same thing." If you're talking about me, I'm not validating religion. Religion, both Christianity and Islam, and mostly Islam, is barbaric. There's no excuse for Islam. Islam is a barbaric, stupid, violent religion that needs to die. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for Christianity. There's no excuse for Islam. There's no excuse for Judaism or Hinduism. These things need to die as an ideology. What I'm saying is that most Muslims are bad Muslims because they're good people. Right? Most Christians are bad Christians because they're good people. What I'm saying is most Muslims ignore the religion. Most Christians ignore the religion. I'm not making any excuses for the religion. The religion itself needs to die.
Right, but it does nothing. The religion does nothing but enable bad people to do bad things without without losing sleep, really. With the promise of a reward.
Right. Tim is saying I agree 100%. There's no excuse for any religion. Exactly. We did. Theo Mikey is saying we did many things with that Quran except read it. Best soundbite ever. Musgal is saying, what do you think of protests? Well, those protests I think are not relevant to the news, so let's not cover this here. Okay, so let me see what the top comments on Facebook are. Okay, Mary is saying, why are people choosing to be ignorant here? I honestly think that that this was a decent thing to do. I think she's responding to some other comments. So I honestly think this was a decent thing to do in light of what is happening in the US and all over the world these days. I mean, really, people are actually trying to show that they care, and you are just being a bunch of assholes in the comment sections. How about you do something valuable instead of complaining about people doing something good? Yeah, I mean, this was something completely good. There's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying that. And whoever started this and everybody that contributed to this needs to be congratulated. But the only thing I'm adding is that don't let people spin this around and use it as a marketing for Islam, because Islam does not deserve any credit for this bullshit. For
Right.
well, for
I
this,
mean,
not bullshit. Go on.
The whole reason that Atheist Republic is giving this story any kind of publicity is because, we want to show people out there that that it isn't the religion that makes somebody good, because these are Muslim people who are supposed to doctrinally in their dogma hate Jews, yet they are overcoming their religious barriers, and they're shining through with the altruism that exists in all humans. So yes, all religions do bad, all religions do good. Why? Because it's not the religion that dictates the morals, it's the person.
Okay, so this is okay. So Gilbert is saying we should and do criticize Muslims when they do something wrong in the name of the religion, but at the same time we have to also admit when they do right in the name of religion, rather than trying to come up with possible conspiracies on why they did this with no evidence, or deflect by bringing up something else like whether they recognize Israel, which has nothing to do with them helping fellow Americans. That's what theists often do, deflect or dismiss facts. We shouldn't. I mean, everybody does that, not just theists. But no, right. I agree with that. Except I don't agree that this is in the name of religion. I think this was in the name of humanity, not in the name of religion. This has nothing to do with their religion. This is because they were good, kind people.
Right. Well, the only reason that I bring it up is because they did it on behalf of an organization that is a Muslim Christian organization. Like their whole message promotes unity and between religions. So this was definitely something that was good for their
right,
organization. But their organization from the beginning has been anti-Islam as far as their message goes.
No, yeah, and what I'm saying is that the source of, even though they're a Muslim organization, the source of this cannot be traced into anything in Islam. The source of this is their kindness and their humanity. That's what.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Anyways, let's go to the next news.
The next news. Saudi Arabia is the worst country in the world for atheists, according to a new report. The international, believe it or not, the International Humanist and Ethical Union, or the IHEU, has released its annual Freedom of Thought report, which describes serious cases of discrimination and persecution against atheists around the world. So it lists via ranking the tolerance of believers to non-believers. The United States ranks number 8 on that list out of 196. What? Yes, out of 196 nations. Saudi Arabia is at the very bottom of the list at 196. India at 138 and Canada at 124. How the United States made it to 8, I don't know.
8?
But I guess
are you 8?
I think
Holy
Russia had
shit.
something to do with it.
No, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, first of all, let's the name of the organization. First of all, to people that say, I mean, I said as well. I said no shit. Theo Mikey is saying sarcastically, you don't say. So for Saudi Arabia making it number 1, I think the study. So 2 points to that. First of all, the study was not just saying Saudi Arabia is number one. Is talking about a whole
Well,
bunch
well,
of other
not
countries.
not not necessarily number one, but number like the last.
Yeah, well, number one. Okay, so number one for being the worst place for atheists. So it's
Right.
looking at
Yes.
all the other countries. So it's a valuable study. But even if it was only looking at Saudi Arabia as the worst place, even if it's obvious to a lot of people, it's important to have the statistics, because if you just say it, people are like, well, do you have anything to back it up? I mean, it's important for us to have actual study to back these things up, even if it seems obvious, because you need to refer to studies when you're making a claim like that, right? So it's, and also this organization is such a great organization. I think this is one of the they have been helping Atheist Republic and ours, because can you mention again IHEU? Is that right?
Yes. Yes. IHEU. That's correct.
So this
It's
is
the International Humanist and Ethical Union.
this is a group that humanist group that has been one of the leading voices for atheists. I mean, atheists get ignored so much when it comes to discrimination against them, but this organization has been talking about them and bringing attention to them a lot, especially when our this is make sure if this is the I'm not
No, you're right.
right. Is this the same group? IHEU. I just want to make sure, because our it's, let me just make sure, just to make sure I'm not saying anything wrong here. Yes, it's them. So when our Atheist Republic members in Malaysia got in trouble, this was the organization that brought so much attention to it as well. So thank you so much for doing this. And the fact that they did the study shows as well that they're paying attention a lot to atheists, and we need that, right? So
Right.
that apart, can we talk about how United States made it to number 8? So
Yeah, so on the surface it seemed really, really unlikely. I was like, no way. I live in the United States and like there's absolutely, no way. But so these reports they're subcategorized into four subcategories. One is the Constitution and the government. Two is the education and child development. Three is society and community, and four is freedom of expression. So there are um, four scoring methods there. So whenever you look at it like that, they did score a little low on the Constitution and government side and on the society and community side. But as far as education and freedom of expression, and again, this is not based on any independent research. This is just based on a survey. So basically, it was telling people, how do you think people react towards atheists, towards non-believers? Like, are you accepting of them in this area, this area, this area?
so it was people's feelings.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, it was absolutely based on feelings and not facts.
Okay, so this is people's perception of how atheists are treated in their country.
Exactly. Yes, it's very much it's
Okay, because I don't
yeah.
believe at all that the United States will make it to number 8, because we have more than 8 Islamic countries, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
when it comes to how atheists are treated, United States would be better than most of, I think, all of the Islamic countries, uh, plus a whole bunch of non-Islamic countries, like, I don't know, Philippines,
Okay, so
India. Yeah.
so when I say number 8, I'm saying that with Saudi Arabia being 196.
Oh, I completely got you wrong. Okay,
Okay,
now
okay,
it's, but
so
okay. Now
so
I believe it. Now I believe it.
okay,
Then no,
so
that's
the
great.
report, but then again, do you believe Canada is 124 out of 196?
What?
Yes.
So Canada is worse than United States when it comes to treating atheists?
Yes,
No,
exactly. And
okay. This
and it's only 14 places
this has been
behind
such a roller
India.
coaster.
It's and Canada's only 14 places behind India.
No.
Yes,
This
I'm
is
telling you.
okay. What?
So
How?
so this
Canada?
survey is really based on the population of the people and the demographics of the people that you survey, because if they were to distribute this survey equally and equally represent citizens of these countries, this report would be way different.
Okay. Wait, how did Canada get such a bad score? Okay, now the eight.
Okay,
Now I
so
believe number 8 because yes, United States is one of the countries where you have freedom of speech in its fucking constitution. So that's I agree with I believe number 8 for United States. Okay, because I thought this was the other way around because the title says the worst country, as in Saudi Arabia is number 1, right? So when I hear United States being number 8. I was like, no, that's bullshit. But if number 8, as in one of the best countries, then I agree with that. And I know a lot of people in the United States don't believe that because everybody thinks that when it comes to the victimhood Olympics, they think their country is the worst. But the United States is one of the freest countries in the world. So it's a good place to be an atheist relatively to most other countries. But Canada is even better. I think Canada is even a better country for atheists than the United States. I have no idea how. So this is people's. So this is based on people's perception of how their country is for atheists. So that means that Canadians are a bunch of crybabies when it comes to. That's what it means.
They're very sensitive.
They're very sensitive. So
yeah,
because this study is mostly about surveys and people's perception, that means Canadians are a bunch of ungrateful crybabies, and they don't appreciate how free their country and how good their country is.
But if you think about Canada, okay, just think about it for a second. I lived in Yellowknife for a little bit, so I know a little bit about Canada, not as much as you do, but so there's 10 provinces and 3 territories, right? So you have to remember that the divide there as far as beliefs go, there's a widespread, belief system across the, different provinces and territories.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to agree with me that religion is giving preferential treatment when it comes to the government. The state funding of religious institutions, tax exemptions for religious institutions. They have an official symbolic reference to religion. And as far as education goes, there's state funding to at least some of the religious schools there, and the religious schools can also discriminate regarding admissions.
Wait, isn't that also United States?
No, religious schools do not get state are not funded by the government.
Oh, okay.
And when it comes to community and family and stuff like that, religious groups control some public services and social services that are government funded in Canada. And then there's, while it's not really exercised, but there is a blasphemy law in Canada. So the freedom of expression is kind of
right. All right. Maybe I don't. I mean, I don't know. I just live here. Just because you live in a country that
he said, I just live here.
Yeah, just like a lot of people are very ignorant about their own country, and I acknowledge that. I live here. I don't follow Canada's politics and stuff. I just know. And again, this is not obviously anecdotal evidence. Right? I just assumed because first of all, I live in Vancouver, which is one of the most secular cities in the whole world. Like this is a very non-religious city, so maybe my perception of the city I live in, like because of my city, I just assume the rest of Canada is like this. So I haven't studied the rest of Canada. I also know that there was a school here at some point that in British Columbia that they had Bible in their school, and everybody lost their mind that how did Bibles make it in the school. So I was like, wow, these people are very anti Bible. I was happy that they were so sensitive to having Bibles in the school, right? Like everybody, like people were losing their minds over it, right? And it's a very, very gay-friendly city where I live, right? So I don't know. That was maybe my perception of my experience of Canada is different from reality. I don't know. But just because I live here, that doesn't give me any.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like you said, you're very fortunate to live in Vancouver. But then again, like I said, things like the blasphemy law is kind of a joke.
Right. I mean, it is a joke. Nobody uses that, I guess. But the fact that it exists is bad. But what about some people in the Facebook live chat are asking about Norway and Germany?
Right.
You,
Yeah. I was about to get to that. Muscal asked what the other countries were that were above the United States. So these are the seven, or yeah, the seven countries that are better than the United States. The number one, with the least problems against atheists, is Belgium, obviously.
honestly.
Number two is Netherlands. Three is Taiwan, which actually surprised me. I figured that Taiwan would be a little bit lower on the list. France is number four. Japan number five. Nauru is number six. Sao Tome and Principe is number
No.
six. Y-
So wait, United States is better than Norway?
Norway is no. Norway is the one right above it.
What number is Norway?
Well, it looks like two are tied for first. So Belgium and Netherlands are tied for first. So Norway is really number eight, and the United States would be number nine.
Oh, okay.
So it's
What about
literally one.
Germany? Somebody's asking about Germany.
Yeah. So something that surprised me is um, some countries really surprised me. Like let's see, Colombia is really low. Australia is extremely low. Australia is below Serbia. It's below Niger. It's below Guatemala. It's below Kenya. It's below Slovenia, Albania, the Congo. It really surprised me. Spain is very low.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Again,
What was
these
the
are
one
people.
that?
Again, this is based on people's perception, so it's not.
Yes,
It doesn't like
right.
people are often wrong about these things. Yeah.
The UK was number 133, so it was very low, and Germany comes in at a low 145.
Jeff is asking about Australia. Australia is where?
Yeah, so Australia did a lot worse than you would assume Australia would be. It actually made it to number 89.
Hmm. Who? Okay, so Saudi Arabia was the worst one. Who was this? Which country was the second worst?
The second worst one was fill in the blank with any Middle Eastern country. No, the worst one was Palestine next to
Palestine,
that one,
second worst. Okay,
and then
okay.
Bosnia, Madagascar,
Bosnia. Wow, really?
yeah,
Okay.
Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, El Salvador,
Are,
Greece. So
are,
Greece, surprisingly, because Greece is
what?
so yeah, Greece
Didn't
has
we just?
111, and they have an atheist prime minister.
That
So
makes no
okay,
sense.
Armin, I know this is our news story, but I got to call bullshit on this report.
No, don't call bullshit on the report. Call bullshit on people filling the surveys, right? Because this is
Right.
people's
Or
perception.
the
Because the survey
yeah,
doesn't say that this is how countries, but the report doesn't say this is how countries treat atheists. This is basically people's. The report is saying this is what people's perception are of how atheists are treated, right?
right. But
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it's that
Useful.
the country is fairly represented with the survey. Like I feel like if they were to somehow survey entire countries, that this would be very different. So I feel like this is a demographic thing. Maybe the people that they surveyed.
Right. Okay, so let's read some of the Facebook top comments. Again, this is a response to saying Saudi Arabia is the worst for atheists. So Sam's saying it's worst country for anyone. Actually, no. If you're an Arab and you're a Muslim man, Muslim son. Okay, so in Saudi Arabia, you have it pretty good as long as you're a Sunni Arab man. If any of those three things are not true, then you're fucked, I think. But you have to have these three things going for you. You have to be a man, you have to be Arab, and you have to be a Sunni Muslim. But then if you have all that going for you, then Saudi Arabia is great. Unless you care about other people. Some other guy that I can't pronounce his name is saying, do we need a report to know it? No, but we do need reports to back it up. Yeah, okay. Let me see. YouTube. Anything in YouTube that we need to read?
No, nothing that's been tagged recently.
Well, I saw some tags. Theo Mackey is saying, I lived in Southern California my whole life and didn't know Hollywood was an hour away until a few years ago. Jesus. Why are you tagging us in that, Theo? That has nothing to do with the news.
Oh
By the way,
man.
just to let you guys know that Saudi Arabia goes a step behind other Islamic countries in saying atheism going against atheism? Because, for example, in Egypt just recently, atheism became illegal. Usually, in most Muslim countries, it's just that you can't leave Islam, right? But Egypt made it so that atheism is illegal. In Tunisia, we had some bloggers taking a 7-year jail sentence just because they said that there is no God a while back ago. And this Tunisia, I think, is one of the most liberal Islamic countries. In Indonesia, one of the most liberal countries, you have to pick between 6 religions. You can't be an atheist. In Malaysia, we just saw one of the most liberal countries, and their minister there said that you need to hunt down atheists. So these are some of the most moderate Islamic countries. Imagine how bad it is in countries like Iran, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. In Bangladesh and Pakistan, it's not just the government that you have to be afraid of, it's also the people. And Saudi Arabia takes the cake for all this because they actually say that atheism is an act of terror, right? So you just, by simply being an atheist, you're a terrorist according to Saudi Arabia. Okay, so
Wow.
yeah, so that's about it. So,
I am posting a link to the survey for. There's been a few people that have asked for it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for you guys real quick.
okay. Muscal is saying, where does Middle Eastern countries fit into the survey? Well, yeah, post a link to it in the live chat. I don't think you can post a link in the live chat.
Yeah. Who said that, Beej? Dang, Beej. I'm not your secretary, man. I'll post it and let you look it up.
No, that was Muscal.
Oh, yeah, you too, Muscal.
No, Beej is doing it.
Sorry,
you should
Beej.
listen
Sorry,
to
Beej.
Beej is moderating for us. You should listen to her.
Oh, yeah.
And she gives us great comments. And she also does fact checks for us.
Bobby says if SA thinks, or Saudi Arabia thinks being an atheist is terrorism, that kind of explains why we can be allies against terrorism while producing completely different results. I'm assuming you're referring to the United States being allied with Saudi Arabia.
Muscal, was that Muscal said that?
Bobby B.
Bobby B. Okay. Because I was going to say something. Because I think Muscal likes to bring everything back to the U.S. Somehow connect everything to the U.S. somehow. She has like a U.S. is not the best. U.S. is it's no better than U.S. kind of bias sometimes, I think.
I just tried posting the link twice and it wouldn't post it.
Yeah, it doesn't let you. Just look it up, okay? This is by Himad Mehta and the Friendly Atheist. Search for Saudi Arabia as the worst country in the world for atheists as report. If you search for that, it should be the top link in the results. And by the way, just a shout out to Friendly Atheist, Himad Mehta. He does a pretty good job in fact checking things. So we usually feel very confident when we're using him as a source. So shout out to him.
Shout out Friendly Atheist.
Shout out to Friendly Atheist. Okay, let's go to the next news. Oh shit, this one.
Yeah. The next news is comes from Europe, where the European Court of Human Rights, the ECTHR, ruled that defaming the Prophet Muhammad exceeds the permissible limits of freedom of expression. So just to interrupt real quick, and just to clarify, the Court of Human Rights is saying that you have the freedom of expression except for when it comes to the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, continuing. They ruled that an Austrian woman's criminal conviction and fine for her statements accusing the Prophet Muhammad of pedophilia did not breach her right to free speech. The decision came as an Austrian national identified as ES by the court had held seminars on Islam in 2008 and 2009 for the Far Right Freedom Party, or the FPO, where she discussed the Prophet's marriage to Aisha, as we discussed earlier, who was a child at that time, and implied that he was a pedophile. So they somehow took offense to that. I don't know. I don't know why it was all true.
This is unbelievable. This is so. I mean, if you're not concerned by this, I don't know what's going to concern you. If anybody values free speech, so just to be clear, what happened was this woman in Austria, right? She said that Muhammad was a pedophile. I mean, she basically said that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old. That's what she said, right?
Yeah,
Which makes him worse than a pedophile. Makes him a child molester because he actually abused children. It wasn't just that he wanted to; he actually did it. So he's a child molester, which is even worse. It's worse than a pedophile. Call him what he is. He actually molested children. Okay, just say it. I mean, and she said that, and she got a fine for it by the government, and she appealed to the highest court when it comes to human rights in Europe, right?
hmm
What is this again? ECTHR?
the ECTHR is correct.
So what does that stand for?
The ECTHR is the European Court of Human Rights.
Which is, when it comes to human rights, that's the highest court in the
Right. They are
European
the
Union.
they are the deciding factor over whether or not human rights have been infringed on.
So the highest court in the EU decided that it's your freedom of speech does not protect you when it comes to insulting Islam. When it comes to saying Muhammad was a pedophile, you can't say that. That's not covered by free speech.
Right.
So
And
this is so fucked up. Like, I don't know if people understand how fucked up this is. This is Europe, which was the source of our Enlightenment values, where the freedom of speech came from, right? And came out of Europe and got spread to United States and everywhere else, where Enlightenment thinkers came from. The highest court, when it comes to human rights, decided that when it comes to protecting a religion or protecting people's freedom of speech, the religion apparently takes priority. This is an absolute disaster, and this is not exaggerating. This is not. If somebody wants to say this is exaggerating, this is fear mongering, the consequences of this for our planet is huge. Okay. This sets a really bad precedent. This is going backwards on a major this is a majorly backwards. And I'm like, to all the people that thought like, oh, we're crying wolf and these things are not going to happen, and no, this is not, people are not going to come tell you and say you can't criticize religion, you're exaggerating things. We have blasphemy laws now in Europe. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, this is we need to like everybody needs to be sounding the alarm on this right now. Now, because of this, across all of EU, you can't. It's illegal for you to point to a fact that according to Islam, Muhammad fucked a 9-year-old. This is according to Islam, and you can't say that in Europe. This is blasphemy laws. This is Sharia law being enforced by human rights. What the fuck? Like, tell me. Jesus, this is.
Look. Okay, like anybody out there who wants to accuse us of, say that we're fear mongering, you're goddamn right we are. You should be afraid, and we are telling you why you should be afraid is because of things like this. You're looking at a country who went from being a free country. Let's just talk about Austria. Okay, let's just talk about the country Austria. Okay, Austria has about 600,000 Muslim inhabitants right now, not citizens. They have 600,000 Muslims living inside of Austria. Their total population is 8.8 million people. So you're talking about a country that went and started from a country that is founded upon freedom, especially freedom of expression. As a matter of fact, it's clearly outlined. It's outlined in their legislature, and you're going to tell me that you're going to allow 600,000 people to dictate a theocratic law into a secular country. Okay, so you're going to tell me that you're going to allow these 600,000 people to tell the other 8.2 million people that they cannot point out the fucking obvious, that the Prophet Muhammad was a pedophile.
Yeah. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
I always say he was a child molester, except not a pedophile. But because this was a reaction to her saying it's a pedophile, now I think everybody should go out and say he was a
Yeah.
pedophile. I think people should
I'm
I
just
think
using her language. The word pedophile inflames the Muslims, and that's why I use it. Pedophile just is not a sexual claim, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, it's just an attractant or whatever. Okay, so.
I
But
think
the reason I use that term is because it pisses the Muslims off so much, because it pisses them off to even think that their prophet can have impure thoughts.
people should go out with signs saying Muhammad is a pedophile all over Europe right now. There needs to be a reaction to this. You guys don't know what you're losing. The freedom of speech is a right that all your other rights depend on. This is not something that you could even give an inch to the other side on. Okay? This is every single right that you enjoy depends on this right, the freedom of expression, because it's freedom of expression that gives you the other rights. Because if you can't defend the other rights, you're gonna lose them as well. Just don't back down on this. There needs to be a reaction to this. People should be in the street there should be thousands. If people knew what was good for them, there would be thousands of people in the streets right now with signs saying Muhammad was a pedophile.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Absolutely.
mean, Islam is illegal now in Europe because according to Islam, Muhammad was a pedophile. Like the Hadith is now illegal in the European Union because of this.
Oh, but Austria is saying that
Oh,
there's a
fucking hell.
difference because it was a difference in time and child marriage and so on and so forth. Just the normal apologetic bullshit. People saying that, oh,
So
well,
he was
that's not
okay.
what it means
So he
today.
was a pedophile. So okay, just that doesn't. Ah, fuck. Okay, what is the reason why they're saying this is not covered again?
Just,
But just
just because they're saying that it was a common practice, like even in European
they're saying
families.
that. Wait, or I thought their argument was that the
No,
reason is that this was insult a lot of people. That's why this is not covered under free
no,
speech.
no, 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 not necessarily insulting a lot of people, but she's saying but they said that they first of all had to draw the distinction between pedophilia and child marriage, because they said, okay, well, there's, and they said what we said, there's a difference between pedophilia and child marriage, but child marriage was a common practice, okay, historically in both Islam and in European families. But they also said that she was that her statements were capable of putting religious peace at risk. And as soon as I read that, I
Oh
sat there
fucking
and I was
hell!
like, "Look, okay, if mere words, mere statements can can turn a peaceful religion into a hostile one, then that religion was never peaceful to begin with."
Yeah, if your religion is that fragile, then good because your religion needs to die. But here's the thing: first of all, all of this is bullshit. Okay, so whatever was normal back then, the problem with religion is that it brings all the stuff that is normal back then to now. Okay, yeah, the people say like, well, other kings did that as well, as did the same thing as well. Well, yeah, but nobody's following those fucking kings as role models today. Okay, Muhammad is followed as a role model today. That's the problem with Muhammad fucking 9-year-olds compared to those other fuckers fucking 9-year-olds. Okay, because none of those other people is seen as somebody that you have to follow. Okay, so that it was normal back then. Yes, that's why we want to keep it to back then. What Muhammad does is brings the practices of back then to today. That's the problem with Islam. Second of all, let's say you're right. Let's say all these people are wrong and saying Muhammad is a pedophile is wrong. It shouldn't be legal. It's free fucking speech. You're the human.
Exactly.
It's free speech. Just because they're wrong, you can't ban it. You can't fine people for that. You idiots. You're the human rights. Jesus. Like
I can walk down Main Street and I can say unicorns are real, and the unicorn priests aren't going to form a posse to come and beat me up, okay?
Jesus Christ.
And why? It's not because the religion of unicorns is a peaceful religion. Okay, it's because I have my freedom of expression, and whenever somebody else's religion infringes on somebody else's freedom of expression, just because you believe it, no matter how no matter how strong your constitution and your belief are, it does not constitute another's belief in the same belief. Believe what you want. If you don't want to criticize Muhammad, don't criticize Muhammad. But if you want to draw a picture of Allah and take a shit on it, you should be able to do so.
Yeah, I think not only you should be able to do so, because of this, it's your duty to do so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should. If you're in Europe, go ahead. I wonder if 1,000 people are going to do this, what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it if thousands of people do the same thing tomorrow? Right?
Yeah.
There needs to be, this needs to be appealed. If you, by the way, if they think that this is hostile to other religions, and that's why it should be fined, and it doesn't cover free speech, based on this argument, all the religions should be banned, because Islam is very insulting to Christianity, Judaism, and Hinduism. Right?
Right.
Christianity is insulting to Islam, Judaism, and every Hinduism. They're
Right.
all, they should all be banned. They all offend each
Like,
other.
let me
I mean,
make it no.
how many people are these? Are educated people? Are these the pictures of the people that decided this? Like, how did they come up with this? Like, who are they? Like, Jesus Christ, I don't know what to do. Like, this is if this is not changed, this is going to keep going in a direction that a lot of people are going to regret. Like, you guys, I don't know. This is why I'm so jealous of United States with their freedom of speech, because it's in their fucking constitution, and you can't do anything against that. Like, all these other countries that talk about free speech, at some point that could be taken away from you. And when people said that now that's bullshit, the free speech is not going to go away in Europe or in Canada, this is proof that they're wrong, and we were right to be afraid of a day like this, right? This is
Yep.
This is countries that's supposed to be on the side of freedom and enlightenment values are now enforcing blasphemy laws. But go on, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make, I know that this concept, and I'm not trying to be rude, but this concept is hard for people to get. I just want to make a quick analogy that maybe it'll help some people understand a little bit better. I train horses. I bring in horses that are basket cases, that have serious problems, that nobody can ride, that nobody can touch. And it's something that I'm passionate about. One of the most dangerous things is a spooky horse, a horse that not a scary horse, but a horse that is easily scared, a horse that is easily spooked. Why? Because they can throw you at a moment's notice. All it takes is a noise to set them off. All it takes is a motion to set them off. Something that's not of any real bodily harm to them, but something that for some reason they have an irrational fear of. So I take these horses, I make them walk across plastic tarps, I shake plastic bags around their ears, I blindfold them, I put stuff on their back that they don't like, I make them walk through water, I make them walk through mud, I'd make them do things that are uncomfortable to them. But you know what? That is the only way that you break sensitivities that are dangerous. And at the end, you have a horse that can accept new sounds, a horse that can accept new motions, and a horse that is no longer a danger because it does not have an irrational fear in which it lashes out at innocent people. And a horse is a religion. The only way that you can get that religion to stop being easily spooked and scared is to attack it with words and with ideas and with motions that make them uncomfortable, because in the end they will break those sensitivities and they will realize, oh, my fears are irrational. And at the end, that spooked horse is no more. You no longer have a spooked horse. Then you have something that is productive to society, something that is productive to you.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying worked with the Drawing Muhammad Day annual event, because you used to be very sensitive about that, but we turned it into an annual event, and it's not that big of a deal as it used to be. So we need to turn Muhammad as a pedophile into a meme, as
Yeah.
we need to desensitize them for this. So let me
Grant,
yeah.
oh, sorry.
Go on.
Brent in the comment section said that I have a sad horse. That's what I have. But I promise you, I am kind to my horses. I do not hit my horses. I do not beat them.
All right, let's move on
I
to
so
yeah,
let me.
go
I
on.
just wanted to
Right, yeah.
be clear on that.
So the Facebook comments are saying, without factual biases, the Quran, and then they edited say Hadith, explicitly states that Muhammad consummated his marriage with Aisha when she was 9. What else would you call a 50-year-old man that has sex with a 9-year-old girl? Sin is saying it's supposed to be a council of human rights, not invisible sky daddy rights. Steve is saying, how is it possible to insult a fictional character? What next? Is calling Harry Potter gay, homophobic? Well, I mean, we don't know. Muhammad was probably not fictional, but we don't know how much of a story was made up. The point is that it doesn't even matter if he was fictional or not. Insulting somebody that is dead doesn't matter. I mean, insulting somebody alive doesn't even matter. Like, this is free speech. Free speech covers everything. Craig is saying if you limit free speech, then by definition you don't have free speech. It's simple as that. Yeah, free speech is not freedom of speech I agree with or freedom of speech I lack. It's freedom of speech. And this is coming from the Human Rights Council. It's amazing. It's amazing that the source of this is a council that is supposed to be the champion of fighting for people's right to freedom of expression. It's doing exactly the opposite of what it's designed to do. It's amazing. That is unbelievable.
Right, because all they are doing is giving another group of people power over another. So really, they are counter effective in their message.
Theo Mackey is saying looks like the America. I think saying North America is the last defense of free speech. Yeah, I mean, we're losing UK slowly. Now this is the EU. Americas. Oh yeah, you corrected yourself. So it looks like the Americas is the last defense of free speech. Yeah, I mean, I hope a lot of people are predicting bad things for Canada. I hope they're not right, but at least we know United States has that in their constitution. Yeah, I mean, people in the United States, I don't know if they're grateful for having that in their constitution. They need to be. You guys need to be very grateful to have that.
A lot of people take it for granted because they don't know anything else. They've never been to a country where they're not allowed to say something.
A lot of people say like, "Oh, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to insult." Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh,
it sure does because you know what? It's not your fault that you offend somebody. If somebody is offended, it is their fault. They take offense. They choose to be offended. You cannot. You cannot offend anybody.
Even if you choose to insult them, even if your intention was to offend them, even if your intention was to be insulting, freedom of speech covers even that. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of hate speech. No, it does. Freedom of speech also includes hate speech. It includes all kinds of speech. Okay?
Yes, but it does not protect you from societal consequences. It protects you from consequences from the government, but that does not mean somebody won't come up and hit you in the fucking face for being a jackass, you know?
No. It should protect you from that as well. It shouldn't protect you from somebody shaming you and exposing you, right? But if somebody wants to come and hit you in the face and the government on purpose doesn't protect you from that person, that's also against your freedom of speech, because the government is supposed to protect you from abuse, from physical abuse, right? So if the consequences of your speech is somebody hitting you in the face, that's against free speech. The government should protect you no matter how hateful your speech is, no matter how wrong you are. If somebody wants to come hit you in the face for your speech, the government should be there to protect you.
And they do, but what I'm saying is that the government isn't going to be there to stop somebody from doing it. They're not going to guard you while you have this harmful message, and they're not going to enable you, but they will protect you from what
I'm saying is shouldn't
legal
be
consequences.
What I'm saying is any illegal acts against you should not be a part of the consequences that we accept against your speech. The only consequences that is acceptable if people speaking against you, ridiculing
Mhm.
you, shaming you, exposing you, and all of that. But anything
I
illegal should not be acceptable consequence against you.
See, I don't necessarily agree with that because even okay, so you take somebody who agrees with Nazi ideology and who spreads it, but they don't necessarily act on it. They don't necessarily act like a Nazi. I mean, I'll be the first to say I'll punch a Nazi. I
No,
mean, and
no, no, no.
I mean that's
I disagree with you there. We could have an episode about that.
okay.
If somebody is just if somebody is a Nazi that they have, but have they done anything illegal? Have they harmed anybody or not? Like if they haven't, then you should not be punching them in the
No,
face.
no. Okay, look, they don't necessarily harm, and I would get in trouble for punching the Nazi.
No,
Okay, and I would
okay.
accept
Well,
that consequence. But
let's have a debate about that. You shouldn't be punching it. You shouldn't be punching somebody just because you disagree with them.
okay,
Yeah. But we could have we could have let's have a. Do you want to have a discussion about that on a different show, an Atheist Republic
sure,
discussion?
sure, absolutely.
Okay. Theo Mikey saying everything from pissing off the right to not wishing to offend Muslims to be or be accused of racism is responsible for this ruling. Well, everything from pissing off the right to not wishing to offend Muslims or be accused of racism is responsible for this ruling. Oh yeah, so maybe like the people that made this decision didn't want to be accused of racism. Maybe I don't know.
Right.
Uh,
Um.
yeah, go on.
Phoenix Hunter makes a good point. It says, free speech is limited. Direct incitement to violence is illegal, even if seldom used. But we can draw cartoons and whatever. So yeah, I mean, there are exceptions to it for inciting violence.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so when you're committing a
Um.
crime, okay, so if, for example, if I say to people like go kill this person and I'll pay you $1,000, right? And they come arrest me, okay? Then you can't be like, oh, I had freedom of speech, because now you're conspiring to commit something illegal, right? So
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
we
I'm
know.
not. I'm not arguing that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. I'm just saying, like inciting violence. Then it's when you there's beyond free. What the line between free speech where we draw the line is if it could be covered, if what you're saying could be covered something as a crime, right? Beyond on a different category that is already a crime, like for example a scam. If you tell people that, hey, this will cure your cancer and charge money for them and it's just water, that's a scam. That's not
Right.
free speech because it's already categorized under a different on a crime. Anyways, it's a completely different thing. Anyways, let me see. Soraya agrees with me. Any physical harm is not proper. I agree with Soraya. Ask him how many punches it would take before the Nazi changed his mind. Exactly, Bobby.
Yeah.
Nobody was punched in the face and decided to be like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not a Nazi anymore. Punching people does not change their mind. And Nazis do change their mind. I know a ton of people that are ex-Nazis. And none of these
Right.
ex-Nazis became ex-Nazis because somebody punched them in the face.
You're right.
Right. So... Oh, so we don't need to have an argument anymore. I convinced you. I changed your mind.
No. No. I mean, I'm not saying that my assault to the whoever's promoting hate speech is not illegal or is not immoral. I am not arguing that at all. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I'm saying that I personally would do it because I don't believe in the spread of harmful ideology,
Yeah, but
and somebody who is
you punching anybody is not going to stop. Is not going to help the it not spreading. In fact, it's going to help it spread farther.
you think so?
Yep, you're going to make them the victim. You're going to give them the victim card. That's exactly what they want. You know how much
Okay,
more?
so how do we stop the spread of Nazism then?
You talk to them.
But hang on. This whole neo-Nazi movement didn't start up because Nazis were punching non-Nazis in the face to get them to be Nazis. I mean,
What?
somehow this movement gained more foothold and increased when it had pretty much been obliterated.
Yeah,
And now
it gained foothold because people just point and yell at the other side instead of listening and trying to convince them out. right? This whole alt-right thing in the U.S. is an overreaction to the whole PC culture. That's why the rise of Trump was a reaction to the PC culture, an overreaction to it. If you actually listen to other side and talk to them, you get a better result from them.
But in the meantime, they're still spreading harmful ideas with real consequences. These aren't. It's not just words, because there are people who will hear these words and act upon them, like the anti-Semite who shot up the Pittsburgh synagogue.
Yeah, and punching him in the face is gonna not achieve anything. In fact, it's gonna bring more. It's gonna give them the victimhood card. It's gonna make more people think that they must have something to say, right? That people want to punch them in the face. That they must be saying something right. If other people want to silence them. Or else if they would think that if you had good ideas against them, instead of punching them, you would be arguing with them. You must have nothing to say to them, that you're punching them in the face.
Yeah, you got a point. You've got a point. Yeah, I mean, I will concede that I probably spoke out of emotion than logic. In practice, yes, I would definitely try to reach somebody with words before punching them. Yes, but
before punching, no, you should never punch. You should never punch them. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that if you actually listen and talk to them, don't give up on anybody. Talk to people. People do have the capacity to change their opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Don't give up on me, Armin. One day I won't punch Nazis.
Okay. No, of course. I mean, I think I already convinced you.
Yeah. Let's just move on before you say you're right.
Theo Mackey saying, screw discussion and debate, fight it out live. Ali Rizvi can be there for a referee. Soraya
pay-per-view, ex-Muslim versus ex-Christian.
Well, actually, that would be popular. Soraya is saying, if anyone tries enter my house and hurts my kid, I'll never hesitate to shoot them. This is debatable. I don't know what you're getting at, Soraya. But let's move on to the final news.
Okay, the final news. Asia Bibi, the Christian woman who was convicted in 2010 after being accused of insulting the Prophet Muhammad. She got into a little argument with her neighbors. She has spent most of the past 8 years in solitary confinement. We reported on her a couple of weeks ago, and this is an update on...
Before you give the update, can you give the background information really quickly for people that don't know what's been happening?
Oh, you mean about...
So the headline is that she's not going to be executed. The headline news is that So the court said that, okay, she's not guilty. And then this pissed off many Pakistanis around. Thousands of Pakistanis are angry that she's not going to be executed. And they're in the streets demanding that she be executed. But just to give a background, really quick... background to who's Bibi, what happened, why was she on death row for eight years?
Right. Okay. So to put a long story short, she was charged with insulting the Prophet Muhammad because she drank from a water cup and tried to pass it off to Muslim fruit pickers. Okay. So she is a Christian. Her mother is a Christian, and the woman, the owner of the property, got offended because she did not believe that Muslims should be drinking after non-believers, and she responded with an anti-Islam comment. To be honest with you, Armin, it's escaping me what she said. All right, exactly.
So here's what happened. So she went to get some water. And they found out that she's not a Muslim, and we're like, you can't touch this water, this is for Muslims. And in the argument, she said, what did Muhammad do for humanity? She asked the question.
That's it.
And the Muslim woman, they went and complained, and she got arrested. And she's been in jail for 8 or 9 years, right? I forgot how many years. 8 years.
For 8 years, and she's been in solitary confinement in a cell by herself for 24 hours a day.
In Pakistan, just because she asked, what did Muhammad do for humanity?
Yes.
And she's been waiting to see if she's going to be executed or not. And last week, we reported on this to see if she's going to be executed. And finally, the court said that she's not going to be executed, right? And this was something that was very a lot of we knew that this is going to be very dangerous for both the court and the lawyers, because
Yes.
whatever judge says that she's not going to be executed is putting himself in danger, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
a lot of people in Pakistan are really angry and they're looking for blood. The lawyer for this woman is now trying to leave, or has left.
One of her lawyers has already left.
Left
They actually
Pakistan
left.
because
Yes,
yeah.
yes, saying that they feared for their lives. He left to the UK.
Okay, and I read somewhere else that the lawyer was like couldn't sleep. They were very stressed out for.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. They're really anxious. A lot of these
I
lawyers,
mean,
they're
the fact that they even decided to represent her is so brave, because they must have known that this is how risky it is to represent how many
oh,
people.
sure.
Because just to let you know how bad the situation is, there was one governor a few years ago that said that this woman should not be executed, and this governor's own bodyguard killed him for it. And this guy is celebrated in Pakistan as because
As a hero.
as a hero, and the government executed the bodyguard, and he's now a martyr. Like, the hundreds of thousands of people came to celebrate this guy as a martyr when
Yep.
he got killed. That's how bad the
Right.
situation is. So the people that were defending Aisha Bibi, they is that how you say it, Aisha, or
I always thought it was
Aisha?
a Sia, but
Asiya. Asiya Bibi. The number of people, the lawyers must have known how risky this whole thing is. So, and the reaction that we got shows that they were true, because that now there's thousands of people out in the street angry that why like I'm showing some of the footage from the protests, right?
right.
Uh,
Yes, that's correct. So these protesters that showed up by the thousands, lined up, and they demanded the death sentence from her. They would not accept anything else. In fact, the other political party leaders. So this is being used as political fodder in this political party battle. And one of them is saying that she should be pardoned, and the other one is saying that she should be executed, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So this conviction was overturned on Wednesday after a lot of deliberation, because they said that there was insufficient evidence, because basically it was the woman's word against Asia Bibi's word.
right.
And so, but because of a deal made by Pakistani authorities with the current party that currently holds office, they are now proceeding with attempting to put a travel ban on Asia Bibi to keep her from leaving. So her husband, this whole time, her husband and daughter were taken to the UK for safety purposes, and this whole time her husband has been trying to seek asylum on her behalf in the UK, Canada, and the United States, and has yet been able to reach anything. And today, as Armin stated earlier, one of her lawyers, Saif Malouk, fled to the UK on a plane, stating that it was unsafe for him, and that he felt like his life was in danger.
So apparently, there was a deal. The government struck a deal with the mullah, according to Beach.
Yes, that's correct.
So the government agreed with the mullah that she shouldn't, so she can't leave the country. And a lot of people are saying that the fact that if she's going to be released, has she been released?
No, she has not.
Okay, if she's going to be released, given that the government is not letting her leave the country, people are saying that's basically a death sentence for her. Like, it's going to take an army to be able to protect her from all these people.
Absolutely.
Like, the number of people that want her killed is way too much for anybody to be able to protect her. Like, she needs to get out of Pakistan. Like, that's the
Absolutely.
only way that she's going to be able to stay alive. This is way too many people that want to kill her. Anywhere, and if they find out where they're holding her, I can't imagine if there's not going to be a mob trying to get in and to kill her. This
Yeah,
is
well,
yeah.
luckily the new prime minister, the new Pakistan prime minister, on Wednesday night when this was announced and people started getting upset that they had overturned her death sentence. He said that there would be a very fierce government response if they didn't stop and break it up and leave. But the problem is that these people they're ready to be martyrs. They are ready to put their lives down in order to whatever bring glory to their beliefs. You know,
Yeah.
they're not backing down from this easily.
No, no, these people are willing to die for yeah. So
This is jihad. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if
it,
a lot of them wouldn't mind dying for this.
right, because this is blasphemy. This is punishable under death by Islam, and these people are willing to die in order to see those doctrinal consequences executed.
Right. I'm actually gonna show some of the bring up. So I'm looking at a picture where there's so many protesters. Some of their sign is saying hang Asia. Is that how you say? What's her name again?
Asiya, I believe.
Asia. I always just say Bibi. Okay. So Asia Bibi. Let me just show you this guy. Oh my God. There's a lot of pictures of them with her picture with like a rope around her head. Um, Jesus Christ, these people. And and this is. Do you know how
Um,
a lot of people message me asking if I know a way to help? Do you know if there's a way that we could, help her get
the
out?
in cases like this, the chips are really stacked against us. This isn't somebody who's just in danger from their family. This is somebody who has been made a political icon, and people from all over Pakistan are making this so-called pilgrimage to here in order to fight for what they believe in. So there is so much opposition here that there is very little for anybody to do other than Pakistan itself. Pakistan has to make a stand. So the best thing that you can do is to spread this message, spread this word in the hopes of that it gets to some people with sense in Pakistan, and that they see everybody else standing with her and standing with reason and against these ridiculous Stone Age laws like blasphemy, and not just her, but in order to help other people who might be in her shoes in the future. Like we talked about earlier, we have to break that sensitivity when it comes to blasphemy. We have to critique that and criticize that which should be criticized, and we need to make fun of that which should be made fun of, which is ridiculous. We should be able to attack bad ideas. Period.
Okay, so I'm actually saying another news article 5 hours because I was surprised that you mentioned Imran Khan said that um, people need to calm down, but apparently I'm seeing another more recent news saying that Imran Khan actually backed down on that. Imran Khan climbed down after war.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're intimidated by these protesters. There's too many of them. So it says Imran Khan's climbed down after warning to protesters shows tackling extremism remains tough in Pakistan. So I think that he's realizing that this is not something that you can stand against in Pakistan. I mean, what about the judge? Is the judge in danger?
Oh yes, yes. The judges are in fear for their lives. There was a three-panel judge, the original ones who were in charge of deciding what the punishment would be. So it was these three judges, and whether it was all three or two, I'm not sure which one, but I believe they came to a unanimous decision that the evidence was flimsy in that case. But this entire time, the entire 8 months she's been imprisoned, the entire time that the judges have been on this panel trying to decide this, they've been getting these threats saying that if you don't execute her, you're going to be next. Your family's going to be next. And her mom is a part of a very big Christian community in that area in Pakistan, but as you may well know, they are not the leading majority, and so they're afraid to do anything themselves for fear of retaliation from the Islamic extremists or fundamentalists, shall I say.
Okay, so this is another more recent one. It says Pakistan Imran Khan government on Saturday promised that blasphemy accused Bibi's name will be put on country's exit control list. She was acquitted by Pakistan Supreme Court last month. So exit control, what does that mean? Like that she can't leave, right?
Right. So it's basically a travel ban.
Jeez, why? Why would Imran Khan do this? I don't understand. Well, I mean,
Probably from pressure from I mean it doesn't make sense because he's a new prime minister, I believe, isn't he? Wasn't he just elected to the position?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so I mean it's not like he's trying to appeal to the voters or anything like that. So why would he flip-flop his stance like that?
No, I mean, I think he put this exit control earlier, but he also told the protesters to cut it out. But then now I think he's backing down on that as well. But Bij in the live chat is mentioning. Let me see. Bij in the live chat was mentioning a petition. Is that right?
Yes.
And I know a lot of people think petitions are useless, but we do have examples of petitions working. Most of the time they don't, but given that sometimes they do, and given that there's no cost in signing a petition, I think it's worth a shot, right? I mean, what else can we do other than putting pressure? Given that there's nobody, if she's banned from leaving the country for whatever fucking reason, I mean, the reason why the mullahs want her to be pressured the government to put a ban on her leaving is because they're hoping that they could kill her themselves, given that the government is not going to do it, right? That's the only reason why they would want something like that. So.
Right.
There's nothing else that we could do other than embarrassing the government, I think, right? I mean,
Yeah, just calling them out.
I mean, I know that's a long shot, but what else can we do? I mean, maybe the only other thing we could do is to pressure our own politicians from our own countries, like the U.S. or Canada, like tweet at them and retweet the tweets at them for them to pressure Pakistan. Yeah, maybe that's the way, because we know United States gives a lot of aid to Pakistan. Maybe if you could, I mean, I know also this is a long shot, but if you could get United States to threaten Pakistan in cutting their aid, which I know they won't do, but Trump likes to appeal to protecting Christians, right? Because
that's true, but then again, she's not a white Christian.
What?
She's not a white Christian, though.
No, it doesn't matter. He wants to protect, he wants to look like he's protecting Christians. Maybe that could be the way we could trick Trump's administration to. Trump likes to be act like the big guy that defends, like they bully sometimes, right? So and do something that other governments didn't,
I mean, it's very likely, because we don't really get anything from Pakistan, but like if you look at the case of the journalist Mr. Khashoggi, who was from Turkey and was killed in Saudi Arabia in a Turkish consulate. Trump just sided with Saudi Arabia on it pretty much. As a matter of fact, it's already been found out that Saudi Arabia killed him as soon as he walked into the consulate. There's evidence of it. Turkish officials have already released it, and Trump still has not done anything about it. So, I mean, the hopes of Trump doing anything is, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in that.
We should try. I mean, it's worth trying, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth trying, because if we don't reach him, we can at least reach other officials that will put pressure on him that actually have some kind of a sway. So, I mean, yeah, you can contact your local official, just whoever you feel would resonate with you on that issue, whoever you feel would help you spread that message and get it out there.
So Beach sent us a petition from change.org. The petition says jail this guy Hossein Rizvi for spreading terrorism among Pakistan and destroying properties. Is this the?
It says that it's closed. That the petition's closed.
No, it says sign the petition. It's right here.
Oh, really?
It's got 35. Why is this petition that you're sending? Who is this guy? Is this the imam that has caused all these protests? I think so.
Is this the one to arrest Mullah, or the one?
I don't know. Beach, can you clarify? Let's see in the live chat. I think there should be a petition that we need to find a petition that tells Pakistan to let Bibi leave Pakistan. I think that's the petition that we need.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will share that in the Facebook comments and in the YouTube comments as well.
Somebody send us the most successful petition for letting Bibi leave Pakistan, and maybe some GoFundMe for raising money. It doesn't matter if it's a Christian fundraising or anything. Anybody that's trying to get her out of Pakistan is worth the effort. And also maybe tweeting at politicians to pressure Pakistan to let her go and to protect her. I don't know. There needs to be, give us suggestions in the comment section. What do you think? Give us links to good places to post and share.
Right.
Beach is saying it's still open. Got 200 signatures in the last hour and a half. No, in the last half hour. It is. Oh, they're saying it's this mullah that is causing all the problems. It's Khadim Hussein Rizvi. But I think all these protests will still happen even if he wasn't calling it. But yeah, maybe this guy should be arrested. But shouldn't we focus on trying to get Bibi out? Shouldn't that be the petition? I mean, I'll sign this petition once I look into it. But I think there needs to be also a petition just trying to focus on getting her out.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, if this guy gets arrested, it's not going to stop the protesters. I think... there's still, I don't know. We just need to
the only thing that's going to stop them, just because of what's driving them, is going to be a show of force. And it's either going to have to be on behalf of the Pakistani government or an allied government.
Yeah. But again, I really think that somebody could, somehow manipulate Trump into taking action on this. We could, all you have to say, like, hey, Obama didn't do anything. If you do something, this is going to be very revolutionary. Obama wasted money sending to Pakistan, so you could do, because that's what
right. So
maybe you could say, like, you could come out and say, why are we sending money to Pakistan? It's a waste of money. So maybe you could just say something like that. He likes that kind of messages. But let me see. Let's see what the Facebook comments are. Did I read the Facebook comments? Shit, I think I closed that window. Let me open it again. But you read the YouTube comments while I find this while I bring up the Facebook comments.
Muscal said conclusion ? Conclusion is there really is no conclusion. It looks like they're trying to put a travel ban on Bibi. She is still imprisoned. Her husband and daughter are in the UK trying to help her seek asylum. And we as humanist atheists need to do whatever we can to help her. And for right now, that's definitely signing a petition. So if you can sign it, do it.
Let me see if there's any Facebook comments. Guys, in the Facebook, if you want me to read the Facebook comments, make sure you mention Atheist Republic, because I don't know which one of these are discussions between yourself, or which one of them am I supposed to read and you want me to read. But let me just look at make sure. Yeah, so in the Facebook comment section, mention Atheist Republic, tag Atheist Republic, and say that this is something you want to read. Let's look at the top comments on Facebook. Larry is saying, such a compassionate, forgiving religion. The death penalty that started over a drink from a cup of water. Such a hateful religion. Simpson is saying, the stigma with Muslims is when it comes to religious matters, all speak in the same tone, whether it is... okay, so I don't know if that's true. John is saying, I love living in the enlightenment and civilized 21st century. It's great in it. Okay, I think that's also sarcastic. Islam equals violence. What else? Helena is saying, so your almighty God was offended. Well, I would expect I would expect him to take care of it. Guess the protesters are not strong in their faith. Jim is saying blasphemy, hurting the feelings of an all-powerful God. Okay, Facebook, still nothing. Okay. Let me see the rise. What else here? We need a blood sacrifice to keep our God happy. That's another. Gavin is saying, "Oh, how extremely peaceful." All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, I saw some other comments in YouTube.
YouTube. Theo Mackey said arresting him might turn him into a martyr of cause. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Um.
So Muscal is saying, I must have missed a part of the story discussion. If many Pakistanis are against this woman getting away with blasphemy, how come the judges come to a different conclusion? Oh, that's
they came to a different conclusion because he said that there wasn't sufficient enough evidence. So basically, that a verbal claim wasn't enough to be accused of blasphemy. So I'm guessing that they are. I don't want to say lax on their blasphemy laws because they're obviously not lax, but with pressure, they were lax in this particular case.
Right. And I was afraid of the judges like giving in to all the fear. Like I mean, as much as I'm against, I don't want to give them any credit because they still have blasphemy laws, and the judges still, if they did have evidence, they would have executed her, right?
Right.
Like so. Like some people are like, I might be tempted to say like, well, good job on not letting the mob tempt you to just give her the death sentence because these judges are now going to be at risk, right? But at the same time, you might want to give them the credit, but at the same time, these are the same judges that would have passed an execution sentence if they found evidence that she actually blasphemed. Like if they had actual evidence that she said those words, she would be executed. According to
if they had evidence, she wouldn't be in there 8 days, much less 8 months.
Right. So I guess they don't deserve any credit. I guess because they're fucking barbaric. It's so bizarre that we have blasphemy laws. It's...
The only people who deserve credit are the people who assisted in changing these judges' mind. I mean, the people who spoke out against this. The people who are protesting and who are demanding her execution, and the people who are being quiet about it one way or another, whether you think it's wrong or right. If you're being quiet about it, you're responsible.
All right. This is okay. So again, people, if you're listening to this later and if you have any suggestions, anything that you think, any strategies, please leave a comment. But anyways, other than that, let me see. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jim, for all the research. And thank you, Anna, for gathering all the news and all the recommendation people send us from the community for us to cover every week. And let me see. So Beach, Theo Mackey, Old Scratch, Christy is awesome. Christy, I didn't read her comments because she didn't tag Atheist Republic, but I saw so much of your kind support. I always read them and they're lovely. Thank you so much, Christy.
Best moderator. Well, one of the best. Sorry, Beach.
Don't say. Phoenix, Bobby, Brant, who else? Brian, XX, and who else? Everybody else that I didn't read. But yeah, Christy's comments usually are very encouraging. And also Beach always fills us in with some very useful information. Also on the Facebook, Grant, Eva, Minerva, and everyone else. Thank you guys. And thank you so much to our patrons for making all of this. Grant said the comment. Let me read Grant's comment. Atheist, you're doing a good job. I would love to go public with you. Grant is saying that, okay, well, message me in my personal account on Facebook if you have any suggestions on what topics you want to discuss. Armin Navabi, look me up. All right, sounds good. Anybody else? All right, love you guys. Eva in the Facebook chat is saying great job. Thank you guys, and thank you for disagreeing with us. Thank you for correcting us, and see you again next week.
Thank you, everyone.